Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 12th episode Redux of Blood on the Thames, a Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle set in London, England. With me tonight,
Carlos playing Moses from Clan Nosferatu.
Peter playing Benjamin the Malkavian.
And Philip playing Jim Roy Woods of Clan Gangrel.
So for those that were with us last week, we were the victim of some very dodgy internet connection on a district-wide level. It doesn't seem to be an issue now, so huzzah. But in order to ensure that we don't miss any of the stuff that occurred last week, everything from last week has been cut down and edited. We're going to play it all for you now, and then the moment that the end of that footage reaches the climax, we will jump straight into the episode as normal. So we'll jump straight back into it. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 12th episode of Blood on the Thames, a Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle set in London, England. With me tonight, but mildly absent.
So, if you use your imagination, here is Carlos, who is playing Moses of Clan Nosferatu. His spirit is here, his body is currently fighting its way through Bristol traffic, but hopefully we're with us soon. And I'm Peter, and I'm playing Benjamin of Clan Malkavian.
We'll skip straight over to the end.
Yeah, so I'm Philip. I'm playing Jim Roy Woods of Clan Gangrel.
Yeah, I'm Jenny. I'm playing antisocial Agnes from Nosferatu. And just imagine Rachel sitting here. She's playing Katja of Clan Tremere. She's on her way right now.
Yeah. So we've got two players on their way to us, so they will be joining us later on tonight. We'll jump straight back over and get a recap done from the last episode.
So in the previous session, the coterie went to their first proper court since they'd been introduced into the city.
During that court, Plucky Jake, according to the boon that he has with Jim, tasking him to find out what's happened to the Warrens between Reading and London.
And he then introduced Agnes, the lone survivor from those Warrens, and it was evident that she had been badly burnt in the attack, but could remember little of what had happened.
Further on that court, to try and distract Michael Chase from tormenting Benjamin and his sire, Moses dances in front of the court, and Michael forces Moses to keep going until his feet bleed.
Later on, Moses meets Alicia, Jim's sire, and they exchange numbers.
Shortly after that, the prince executes a vampire called Edward Norton for feeding and breaking the masquerade in front of Cain.
And lastly, Oliver, Katya's sire, presents Will, Katya's former ghoul, as a new kindred of London. And then, after that, we fled court, and the session ended shortly after that.
Everybody returned to their havens in various states of shock, all under the realization that they had a boon to complete a fledgling kindred who they were, well, Jim in particular was responsible for under the conditions of the boon, and a great many questions about what could possibly have decimated this warren outside of London. So, with everybody now gathered at the crossed hands, and the memories of court still very, very much fresh in your minds, what do you want to do?
I believe that at the end of the session, Moses was taking Agnes sorting out her room, getting her set with the computer and that.
Mm-hmm.
So he was doing that. So Jim's going to go to Benjamin. Ben?
So Benjamin, by the way, fled into his room.
Yeah.
And I will be hurriedly making sketches of some ideas for paintings I've had from court.
Sure.
But obviously, are you knocking? Come in. Oh, is everything all right?
Yes. With this boon that's of mine that needs to be completed, I'm having a little think in the journey on the way back, and going to need a few things. I'm not most apt at acquiring things. I figured you'd be the more one to come to make sure we have.
So you're saying you'd like some help?
Yeah,
with the spoon?
we
Of course.
Yes.
What do you need?
Well, for example, I can't see in the dark, so torches and matches will be needed for that. I'm pretty sure. Among other things, a small crowbar or two. If everyone goes has multi-tool as well, making sure we're well stocked.
A crowbar and a multi-tool?
Yes.
Multi-tool?
Well, yes, a tool that you can do multiple things with.
Yes, I mean, I understand the concept. I just... All right, fine.
Yeah.
So you want some of these things.
Yes.
I don't know how many shops are going to be open now.
No.
But I don't know, isn't this quite urgent? Wasn't Plucky Jake quite insistent that you would be in extreme trouble if this wasn't done very quickly?
Yeah, we have a week to complete it, so if we can do some preparations, spend the rest of this night doing preparations, first thing tomorrow night is as soon as we awake, we feed if needed, and then get straight there and get in.
All right.
That would be I think the best plan.
Yes. All right. So a multi-tool, some crowbars, and some torches.
With plenty of spare batteries, and there are some other things that might prove useful. We have no idea because apparently they sealed them off. So we don't know what they seal them off with. So maybe an axe might be useful.
An axe. Right.
Maybe a spade or something like that. We have no idea what we're going to get into.
Is that right? Well, yes. All right. I mean, it's not that far to Reading from here. I mean, we could go and see what we need rather than, buy out B&Q before we go. We could see what the situation is because we could go tonight and just see how bad it is, and then we could work out what we need. Then we could get exactly the right tool for the job.
Get the right tool, yeah. Having had those Nosferatu being burnt out altogether, I think I don't want to be going down there more than once.
No, that's a very good point, actually. Now, when you mention the burning thing, no, quite right. All right, fine. I'll see what I can do. It's going to take a while because obviously the shops will be shut.
Yeah.
But I could so we could get them tomorrow. Are there any other things that need doing tonight? That's, I suppose.
Doing tonight.
Is Agnes there?
Yeah, Agnes is with Moses.
Oh, right, good. Right, so what's our opinion on Agnes? I mean, I know obviously Plucky Jake has, and you have to look after her. I understand that, but I mean, how friendly, open should we be? Not be with this?
Well, nothing that needs. We don't really need to talk about any coterie issues.
Yes, because we did sort of give her an impression, I think, of being a certain type of coterie. But that's fine. So don't tell her about anything too pertinent to us. Yeah. And anything else I should know?
Well, I don't. Nothing that comes to mind. I think the most apt thing is to get this task sorted in the next couple of nights.
Have you asked her what the state of the Warrens was when she left it, when she fled? Because she might know exactly what the state is, and then we'll solve this problem.
From what Plucky Jake was saying, and Agnes seemed to respond to that, she doesn't remember much.
We don't know, but I mean, she doesn't remember much about how it happened, but she obviously got out. Again. She must have got out somewhere.
Yeah, again, we don't know.
So let's go and find out. That's what I'm saying.
I would say give it a bit of time to.
Oh yes, no, she was quite upset actually. Yes, you're quite right.
And
we should give her some time.
And like me, she doesn't seem to do well at a court.
Well, no, who does? I mean, it's awful. It's awful in court.
Katia was doing very well, I can see.
Well, she's very, she's very confident in those situations.
Yeah.
It's very impressive, really. All right. So we're not going to bother Agnes. We're going to buy some torches and things, and spades and multi-tools and things, and anything else.
No, I don't think that. Well, I can't think of anything that we might need.
Right. And Moses is looking after Agnes.
Yeah.
So I'll just be here.
No.
All right.
Yep.
Good. Okay. Right. Bye. that coming from my room? As in, can I hear it? Or it's coming from up.
Do you want to go or shall I?
Oh,
Just
I think you. I'm. Hey, why don't we both go
Sure, why not?
upstairs?
Okay. You make your way back upstairs through the ruined remains of the upper floor. Well, ruined remains, what they previously were until you had the renovations happen, and now they look, in fact, in better condition than the rest of the building. You hurry up past them. There's no more knocking that you can hear, but you know that you know the likely source of it. And you go all the way up towards the final stairway, past one of the rooms which, although the door is closed, you can hear speaking between Moses and Agnes. And you head up towards the final stairway, which leads straight to Katia's room. And there's no sound coming from the other side of it. You can, aside from the very soft tread of Katia within, there's no knocking, there's no sounds.
Oh, good. That seems fine. Brilliant. Well, glad that we investigated that. And I'll look to head away. So, I was just going to. I'll try and find the most efficient way to get some of these items, and then I was going to just sort of take it easy if we're going to go to the Warrens tomorrow.
I suggest tomorrow because I do not want to be down there when the sun comes up tomorrow.
No, not quite.
Because frankly, I'm assuming that someone or something is down there. And worst case scenario would be somehow lupines are down there, but if they're down there, we'll be getting out fast.
Lupines?
Werewolves.
Yes, I think you all mentioned that before, once.
Yeah.
They're. Do you think? I mean, I obviously know nothing about werewolves. Are these werewolves that tend to like using fire?
I don't know. I do know that one of them is more than enough to take us all out.
Well, then I sincerely hope it is not. Then.
I sincerely hope it is not. However, bring tools and prepare for the worst case
What
scenario.
do you bring if it's a werewolf? I'm assuming a multi-tool is not going to.
I would assume not, but I doubt you have access to any kind of guns or anything like that. So
nothing then.
no, I think the only thing there is to just run.
Understood.
And don't be the last one.
Right, okay. Understood. Well, I'll be in my room if you need me, and when Agnes has had a chance to rest, we should find out a bit more, if we can, about the situation of the Warrens.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So it's worth noting that at the moment you're looking at about 2200 June the 4th, which is a Monday. So you have, on the pessimistic side, you have a 5-day stretch to get this done. If you're feeling optimistic, maybe, until next Monday. It depends. He didn't elaborate, but, primogens don't tend to need to. So it's entirely up to you whether or not you guys want to make a point of going down to the shop on a different day, whether or not you want to get your preparation done tonight, how quickly you want to leave. It is worth noting that if this is a warren which was described to you as being between Reading and London, it's going to be a bit of a trek, and Agnes would certainly know, Moses would certainly know, neither of you would probably know, but you could probably guess that based purely on what the subway tunnels have been described to you as like, or the warrens have been described to you like loosely by Moses, they are labyrinths, and navigating them is not simply going to be as easy as going from A to B, and it's certainly not going to be as generous in terms of time as going A to B.
Okay, so in terms of the stuff that Jim was asking for, I'm assuming that nowhere is open to buy stuff.
Probably not.
So the earliest I could get it would be tomorrow.
Yeah, if you got it as soon as you woke up and then went out before any of the shops shut. I mean, in London, there's going to be shops that stay open a little later than. Okay. So you could probably go out and try and get hold of most of the stuff.
We could do that kind of just before we left, potentially.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to faff about with some painting shenanigans for a little bit, and then I'm going to try and find Agnes is my evening plan, and that's it, I think.
Okay, so what are you looking to paint?
Well, I'm not looking to paint anything immediately. Well, actually, that's a good question about where I am with current projects, actually, because I might progress one or not. But the thing I want to make notes about is I have an idea from court of a thing I'd like to paint.
Okay.
So I just want to get like a kind of the sketch and the details. So specifically for this, I'll need the blood pattern that Moses made when he did his dance on the floor.
Yeah. I mean, you made a particular note of that as you went back and forth.
Yeah, so but I want to actually have it down.
Yeah, I mean, making a rough sketch of it isn't really going to take much in terms.
Right.
I mean, it's just a rough outline to give you an idea.
So I'll just do that sort of, so I'm prepped for when I start. So if that doesn't take very long, I'll probably go and find out.
Yeah, it wouldn't take you too long.
Okay.
So, you head back upstairs after all of this preparation is done. You can't hear Moses' voice from in the room that you bypass. He's either in there and he's not currently speaking, but then again,
we
Agnes.
set her up with a room, didn't
yeah,
we?
or he's gone back down into the basement.
Okay. I'll knock on Agnes's door.
Yeah.
Hello, it's Benjamin. I wondered if you had a moment.
Yeah, of course. Just come in.
Oh, go in.
Okay.
Yeah. Agnes is. Moses gave a laptop and stuff or computer to Agnes, so she's sitting there like.
Okay.
Just looking up to you.
So, Jim and I have been thinking about this business that Plucky Jake wants us to do, and obviously I don't want to pry too much. I know this has all been very sudden for you, but I was just thinking about things that we might need to acquire. I don't really know how long it's going to take us to get there, or if there are any obstacles that we will need to be able to bypass, physical things, or.
Not that I know.
So you can just walk in and out. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know if you can just walk in now because obviously it's destroyed.
But you got out, so there must be a way in and out. I'm assuming. I mean, did you have to? Was there rubble or was there?
I just don't know. I can't remember.
Oh, right.
From your point of view, what you could recall is that most of the tunnel entrances looked as though they had been either filled by something sizable that could be wedged in the entrances, or they had basically been caved forcibly, basically collapsing tunnels. Although with everything that happened, what you can really recall is shouts both in and out of frenzy, flurries of movements, people caving to try and get in and out of the various tunnels, having to move through flame to get to the tunnels, and as the flame basically spread, and you were blocked in, you succumbed to frenzy yourself. And when you woke, the tunnel that you were down, even though you were covered in some of your burns, was not touched by the flames to the degree that all the other ones were. And backtracking on yourself, you found a tunnel that, although it was sealed, there was an area that you basically, and in the process ruining your fingers, managed to claw your way out of, because the rubble that had come down was bitty enough that you could basically, through flesh and bones, scrape your way through it and get out of a hole that, at the thinnest area of your mind, you're pretty certain was probably no bigger than about that.
Yeah.
That you forcibly forced your body through to get away from the fires. But most of the other ones that you can recall, off of your very, very brief and extremely fleeting observations of the other tunnels, were packed to the degree where even kindred renowned for their potence couldn't punch their way through it. So it's very, very hazy. I mean, when there's fires licking at you and you can't find a way to go, it's very difficult for you to stop and take an objective look.
Well, I think we cannot just go there because all the tunnels were destroyed. It's like, and I don't know how I really get out there. I know that I found a way. There was, I don't know, I just could like claw myself through one of the tunnels that was destroyed, and put in there, and I
that's...
don't really remember. It was fire. It was horrible. There were
right.
people were shouting. They were screaming. They were burning. My friends were burning.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring things up. I just the tunnel you managed to escape from. Would you be able to find your way back to it? Do you think, or do you not remember where it is in the Warrens?
Maybe.
I'm just trying to think about what. It sounds like we might need to maybe dig our way in, or take things. We might need to move.
I can try.
But if you found a way out, if you can get back to that tunnel, then that would make life a lot easier, I think. All right, and I assume there are there. I suppose they don't work now if they were there. I was thinking, are there lights or anything in the Warrens to enable people to see, or do you all just carry torches, or do you all just see in the dark?
There were lights in the tunnels.
Yeah, they were. But they're not. I guess they are not anymore.
No, they're probably not working. All right. So I think the plan is that we're going to gather things first thing tomorrow night, and then go back there. But if there's anything you think we should acquire, or anything that you need, it's obviously good to know in advance.
You just really need something to dig away all.
Yes, well, I'm sure Jim will have that covered. It's very good.
Or some TNT, I don't know. You could just make an explosion.
Oh yes,
That'd be
you'll
easy.
probably have that covered too. All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I assume you want to be left to your own devices, so I'll leave you to it.
I don't mind.
Oh right. Well, interesting. I'll have a little look around the room. Are there any any kind of weird stains on the ceiling, or any other things like that? Or
The wall directly closest to the door looks like it's got a fresh coat of paint, but it has the horrific effect of making new contrast very badly with old. It's one of those ones where they've tried to match the colour schemes, but whether or not it's the kind of thing that they don't do this particular scheme anymore, or they just didn't really care as much, it's
okay.
Probably as close as you could get to someone that's basically going, well, it's green, let's put green.
So I'm going to be talking about this in a moment, but what I'm actually going to be doing is trying to get a look. I'm trying to get Agnes to move her head when I'm talking.
Okay.
To get a better look at the burn.
So it's going to be manipulation plus subterfuge versus wits plus insight.
Okay. Nothing.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, are you
No, keep rolling. You might get nothing as well.
Yeah. We might be locked in incompetence.
Oh. A 10, a 1, and a 6. And a
So
3.
that's-
Okay.
A 10 at the hungry
So-
dice.
So yeah, that's fine. So 2 successes. As polite as he seems, he is completely inept at hiding the fact that he is trying to get a look underneath your hairline towards the sharp burn that you have there. It's almost endearing on how bad he is at doing this. You've seen social incompetence, you're a Nosferatu, but this is...
Okay. So I'm not good with social interaction, but you are far worse than I am. If you want to see my scar, just ask me, okay?
Oh, sorry. I just I didn't want to be rude, but I suppose I've sort of been rude anyway. So
Yes.
I apologies. I would like to, if you don't mind.
Well, it's not like it's going to go away. Just
No, I can see that. It must be very painful.
You would have glimpsed burns before. This is something else. It's like a burn that is healed with necrotic flesh. It's not healed properly. The flesh looks decayed. As a Nosferatu, even though she doesn't yet, you don't know how it works. You don't know whether or not she's going to become more grotesque over time, but she certainly already gives you the creeps. Seeing that scar this close is not helping.
Okay. Do I think the scar continues below the clothesline, or do I think it's just on her face? Like, does it seem to stop, like, at her jawline, or does it continue?
All you can see is on the face so far, but then again, she's clothed in like hoodies and kind of the kind of clothing that you'd expect Jim to wear if he had more of a desire to hide most of himself.
Does Agnes wear gloves as well? That's not a question.
Oh, no.
So your hands don't seem burnt, or they do?
No.
Okay. So yeah, I will be taking a good look at this for future reference.
Yep.
So well, thank you. I do know that. Is this the sort of thing, you know, that you're? Would you be able to heal it? Do you think?
I try to, but until now nothing happened.
Well, maybe it's just very slow recovery. You know, maybe it's a little bit at a time or something.
Well, at least it's not raw flesh anymore.
Yes, well, that's. Thank you. No, I've seen. Thank you for that. It seems like Moses has given you everything that you need, and my understanding is we're going to try and go tomorrow. So if there's nothing else that you need or we should be getting for going down there.
Mm-hmm. No, but what are you guys doing today?
Well, I was probably going to do a little bit of painting. I have no idea what the others are going to do. Well, why? Is there something you wanted to do?
No, not really. Just interested.
Oh, right.
Trying to be social.
Yes, right, of course. Well, I imagine, actually, we're mostly going to be conserving our energy because it seems like it's going to be quite a business going to this place and quite dangerous, potentially. So, yes. Right, well, thank you. And I'll leave you to it. I'll reverse out of the...
Okay. I mean, it's interesting. The computer that Moses has given you is not... It's not the most high-tech you've ever seen in your life, but the connection to ShrekNet and the other types of access you have on it are improved from what you're used to in the Warren. I mean, Bob would give you access to the ShrekNet to a limited degree. When the password is changed, they tend to give it out first to the kindred, the kindred within the clan who have status. I mean, you're the brood of Bob, but that doesn't mean much in his brood. He's a bit of an asshole to everybody. Not that you'd admit it. I mean, he's your sire. Mm-hmm. But the connection here is improved. It's interesting. And you're kind of envious, given that you don't leave the Warren as much as some of the other brood do. Having this level of access, I mean, it's not unrestricted, but it's smooth. There's something about it that's like,
it works.
It works. Wow, that's a novelty. But yeah, so it suggests that Moses he's either involved with the Nosferatu to a good degree, or he's competent, and that's a good suggestion. So, what did you guys want to do now? It is still roughly around 2200. You still have most of the night ahead of you. You are on a time limit in terms of what you can do. Apologies.
Jim's going to spend a bit of time on the roof, sat on the edge, having a bit of a think, looking at his phone, looking at the last message from Mr. Payton, and knowing that he's had nothing since. Then he's going to get up and go and try and see if he can locate a couple of maps of London.
Okay. It's not too hard to find maps of London. I mean, if you go down to most of the train stations, or even some of the subway stations, will have ones on the wall where you can get maps of London. Pay a couple of quid and you can get one. It's not difficult for you to do a quick trek out and grab one.
Yeah, just jump up of the big area of London and try and get some ones out of more localized maps.
Okay. I mean, you have the big... on one side you have the expanse of London, and then when you flip it over it's a more concentrated view. Obviously, you don't get to pick and choose which area it kind of concentrates on. It's more just the heart of London. But it's enough where you can kind of view a good chunk of it. If you wanted a more specific map, you probably have to go and actually buy one from a store. But these are easy to get access to, mainly for tourists or anybody else coming in. It's easy enough just to pay a couple of quid and get one. Depends on how specific you want to be.
Yeah, it's just a more generalist one to start off with.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't take you long. I mean, coming down off your roof, going back through the haven, you make your way out towards one of the local tunnels and the stations, and they've got some dotted around. Thumbing in a couple of quid, you manage to get out one of the fold-out maps. I mean, it's decent enough. The kind of maps that you've seen already of London when you first came here and had a look through. Cheap quality, but it works. What do you want to use it for?
I'm just going to go back into the haven, not into his room, into one of the other rooms on this floor. So not the room where Agnes is. Okay. I'll lay out the map, then remembering times that he's known Alicia, trying to start marking areas where, likely places where she might be if she was going around.
Because obviously you've not known Alicia since she's been in London.
Just the sort of the likely areas she might have been that he would know that she tended to hang around.
Okay. Well, we'll say, what's her Mauler rating with you?
2.
Okay. Well, roll intelligence plus streetwise, and then add 2 for Mauler.
Three successes.
Okay. Knowing Alicia like you do, there's a couple of places that she would probably venture into. I mean, she's the kind of individual who will, she will toe the line with the local authority just because she's not stupid. But she's also one of those kindred who will flirt with what is socially acceptable in terms of she's more than happy to go wandering through domains. And then if she can get away with feeding, she probably will. And then if someone comes to tell her that she can't, she will either make herself scarce or she will kick the living shit into them and tell you, yes, I can. It depends with her. And she's one of those kindred who thrives off of chaos more than anything else. So trying to track her movements is kind of difficult. But on the flip side, she is also unlikely to go anywhere where you know you should not go. For example, Hyde Park, she will not go there because... unless she's been sleeping under a rock for a very long time since she came here, she's likely to have heard about what happened there to the kindred and ghoul. Obviously, you know that she'd toe the line, but she's willing to skirt it wherever possible. She would likely any kindred that she knows in London, she's more than likely to have touched base with, whether it was over the phone, whether it was in person. It's unclear, but you don't know who she knows in London. There's, it wasn't exactly like she gave you warning she was coming here. She just up and left. Welcome back, guys. So hopefully now everybody's all caught up and we can resume. This time with Carlos back with us. So, unfortunately, we don't have Rachel. She's not too well, but get well soon, Rachel, and we'll see you back next week. So, in the meanwhile, and we also obviously don't have Jenny, but I'll do my best in her stead to bring to life Agnes, and we will continue. Plow on. So, where we left off, Moses, you were down in the basement. Mm-hmm. Benjamin,
I think I'd gone back to my room to paint.
Yeah.
Badass.
Yes, and...
Jim was in another one of the rooms on his floor, trying to figure out where a place that Alicia might be frequent.
Okay, and based obviously off of your knowledge of it, But the fact that you've never been to London with Alicia before, it's very difficult for you to kind of pinpoint where she might have gone. You can make an educated guess on what you know about Alicia and where she might have ventured to, where she might have stayed away from, but it's not like you can compile a compulsive a set list of where you can go and check off each location for your sire, because she's an agent of chaos. She will go wherever the damn well she wants, and that's one of the things about her that you find most alluring, if nothing else. But in this kind of situation, it's a pain in the ass. So you've managed to at least maybe kind of think of about a 16th of London that you shouldn't really check, but that doesn't give you a small measure of ground to cover. You've got a lot left.
It's probably with the more local map area, probably not of the entirety of London.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Big ass place.
Yeah, I mean this isn't the kind of thing where you're going to peer at a map and immediately get an answer. You've got a lot of ground to cover if you want to track her down. That's assuming she's even still in London. As far as you're aware, you don't know. So, you're still looking over your maps. You're still working on your painting. What painting are you currently working on?
So this is it's a crowd scene painting, and it is kind of in the evening. It's raining, and so the street lights are that kind of slightly smudged, hazy look, and all of the people in the various crowds are all smudged and hazy as well. So you can see all the shapes. But walking under one of the street lights in kind of perfect, crisp outline is a silhouette of a figure who will look remarkably like Edmund Sinclair.
Okay.
Looking really awesome, going kind of through the thing, and everyone else is just this sort of sea of grey, unimportant figures around him.
I mean, what
Interpret it how you want,
Hyper-realism.
So, I mean, this painting you've been working on for during the 5 months.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been difficult for you to get much time with Edmund that hasn't involved him tutoring you.
Sure.
He's been very adamantly working towards the time where he can open up the exhibit towards the Primogen.
Yeah.
It's pretty much taken up all of his focus. And what little times you do get with him, he's largely not paying you much attention. It's more that you're just kind of there just observing him until he kind of tires of having you shadowing him and then shoos you away.
Yeah.
But even then, he's pictured perfectly in your mind. You can get that image and get it down onto paper, and so far it is looking really good. You are not far off of finishing it, but there's bits and pieces that you can get on a glance. You're like, yes, no,
yeah. Oh, it's got to be perfect.
Okay, yeah,
it's got to be perfect.
So you've still got a little bit more work that you can put into it.
Yeah. So I'll be working on that tonight unless something else happens to take me away from it.
Moses is going to be mostly working on his new identity, and I don't think it's going to be much just trying to. Well, I probably will have a couple of Shreknet chats open, maybe throwing around a couple of questions about the Warrens in that area, but not being too pushy. Actually, I'm trying to distract myself so people, if they want to chat about anything, I'll hear anything. Like, let's see how the rumor mill goes on the Shreknet.
Okay. Katia, for her part, has remained in her room in the wake of the court. She's obviously kept largely to herself. Whether or not you all knew, or to what extent you knew, what had happened with Will, she obviously was handling it as well as she could. And I mean, this is Katia. She's well composed most of the time, but she's, you've given her a room. She's still up in her own chamber, and when she comes down, then great. But none of you are brave enough to venture past that threshold beforehand.
Go through the ghost.
Agnes is kept to the room where Moses had directed her to. It's on the same floor as where Jim's his refurbished room is.
She's got the new shiny stuff.
Yeah, you provided her with a laptop that she can get onto the internet. It's not the dark depths of the Shreknet. She can get onto the base level of Shreknet, but all the kind of levels where you really have to be on, the Warrens' good book to be able to get onto there. I mean, your access to it is limited at this point. and you're helping to remodel the damn thing, so this is how difficult it is to get onto. But she seems content, and she's sat in there. She hasn't come out. The only one that's really had much exposure to her at this point, beyond briefly Katia and briefly yourself, is Benjamin. So
Probably have a chat window with Agnes, like typical stuff. You okay? Yeah, okay.
fine.
And then I go on my business, but if she wants to talk, I'm there.
Yeah.
Well, chat.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much response that you get from Agnes. She seems content in what she's doing. Another chat window does pop up with Sexy Pearl written on there. And the message simply says, "Time's ticking, Moses."
I know. Fucking I asked me to help a friend with a favor.
The next message is, "Other people would like to meet him too." And then a repeat. "Time's ticking, Moses. ... Send. Smiley face." Or smiley face send. But yes. So.
I'll try to go to the Warrens and talk to you in a couple of days.
Okay.
Let me sort out this business for the Primogen, and I'll meet you the usual place. The usual place. I've met there once, but the usual.
There's no response from her at this point. It's clear that she's got the message, but she's said what she needs to. So, what do you all want? Obviously, you want to work on your painting. What else do you guys want to do? At this point, you are just past about 10 o'clock in the evening. You have a good, well, slightly less now than a full 8 hours.
It's probably more like 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah, because
We
you're
agreed to go to the Warrens
Tomorrow. Yeah, well, tomorrow.
I mean, you're in the
first thing.
June time, where the days are a little longer and the nights are a little shorter. So, I mean, you could try staying out as late as you can, but there is a part of you which is instinctively aware that it's a more dangerous time for you to linger out, or for you to not be doing things with a speed. So, with that in mind, and roughly about 6 or 7 hours left to you, what do you want to do before the next day takes you out of London?
I think at some point I'm gonna grab some of my equipment for tomorrow. I'm gonna grab my brass knuckles, just in case.
Okay.
And actually, at some point during if no one asks me to help them with crazy stuff like taking care of bodies or burning buildings, I will. Since there's no fire to put up, not to put out.
Night's young.
Yeah.
The night's young. That's what I'm saying. I want to prepare coding. I want to grab one of the laptops, a good one, enough processing power, and code. Because if I get to the Warrens, even if everything was scorched by fire, if I manage to find one port to plug in, I want to run a routine to see if I can get anything from those servers.
Okay.
Anything, any indication or whatever. And since I don't want to be coding there, I want to make the routine and subroutines now, and just be there. And if anything needs
Then just
to
plug
do
it
it
in when you get there.
and plug it in, and if anything needs doing on the fly, it'll be a lot easier for me.
Okay.
So it's like prepping for that. Other than that, electronic countermeasure systems, because I'm not an idiot.
Okay.
It's a Nosferatu Warren, and if anything survived,
Okay.
I want to make sure that we have that.
If you're setting those up now, we'll say intelligence plus technology. What's your specialty?
Networks.
Yeah, so it will appear. So, which one are you doing first? Because one of these is obviously going to be high.
Yeah, I want to do the hard one first.
Okay. So you're going to try and create.
The routines and subroutines and all that. Oh no, The electronic counter
Yeah,
messages.
that's going to be the difficult one because you are about to go into a warren.
Yep.
And this is where all of the tech heads and all of the secrets of the entire Camarilla and the Kindred exist.
I don't know.
Cool. So, make your roll.
I rouse.
Oh, yeah, it's worth noting, obviously, your willpower would have healed. Not all of it, obviously, the aggravated would stay.
Oh, the aggravated will stay.
Aggravated will stay, but the superficial, because you weren't here at the start of last week.
Last week, yeah.
Superficial would have healed.
All of it? No.
Up to the value of your
Up to the
potion.
value of
Okay.
your-
Well, still, that means that I have still my aggravated damage, but I'm not
Yeah.
incapacitated? Impaired. I'm
No,
not
you're not impaired. Unless
Okay,
it's
cool.
full, it's not impaired. So you're not going to take a -2 to this.
Cool. Then I... 2, 4, 6, 7. Then I rouse the blood.
Cool.
Good luck.
That gets yours.
Good luck.
No!
That's a messy critical.
But look at all the successes you got.
Yeah, I got 1, 2, 3. I got.
You got.
Okay, this is the only non-success. 4, 5, 6, 7,
You
8,
could-
9 successes.
But you got 9 successes at Messi crit, but you could, if you want to be really risky, you could re-roll your
That
10 and the 2 to try and
Yeah.
stop it being a Messi critical and just have lots of successes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would go from 9 to 6, whatever I roll.
Yeah, but you
What,
might get some
6?
successes.
But
6 plus.
But you
whatever
might get
I
another
roll.
10, of course. The other option is you could re-roll 3 dice and hope one of them comes up a 10.
No, no, no.
do you want to keep your messy critical?
No.
You don't. Okay, so spend a willpower.
Yes.
Just really hope you don't get a 10. One of those really odd times.
And this is gonna be one of those times in which I end up rolling.
Or if you get a 10, get 2 10s.
Yeah, which is not gonna happen.
God.
So,
You maybe wished you too
so,
much
so
luck.
far it's 6 successes,
Okay.
7 successes.
Okay, that
This
is
is a one.
That is what you needed.
Yeah.
So,
And no self-destruct device is activated.
I was really hoping you'd keep that. But, you know, there's the night's young.
And rousing the blood did not make me any hungrier.
Excellent. So, sealing yourself away down in the darkness of your basement, you begin fingers clacking quite loudly on your on the keyboard, just going over this line of script that's just flashing up across the screen. Very archaic looking script. It's like one of the old style computers, just green coding just flashing back and forth. And for a good while you were just fixated on this screen. Nothing else is distracting you. Not even Foggy coming up towards you and trying to nudge you for attention. You're just blind to it. Working your way through this script until finally you hit the key, you come away and you're looking at one of the most perfect countermeasure coding sequences that you could ever have looked at. And there's a moment where you're just sitting there and just observing and thinking, fuck, that's beautiful. You know, you almost wish the rest of your coterie was as computer literate as you so they could admire this stuff.
Yeah, because the only people I can show this to are other Nosferatu that would love to grab that code and use it against me. So this is one of those lonely
You are
victories. I
very,
guess.
very confident at this point that this coding will be able to at least get you into anything that might still be salvageable. It probably won't get you into the depths of it, but it will get you in past any
Get you through.
countermeasures that might have survived any fire. Especially since there's very unlikely to be someone actively trying to countermeasure you.
Okay. In which case I will be just sitting there. But if things are the way they are, it usually will happen me plugging that in and then the room filling with water or werewolves coming. I don't know how it's gonna happen. So
Don't give me ideas. So 7 successes, yes?
7 successes, and then it'll be just the script to literally dig really deep. Like,
Okay,
do I roll for the script as well? Okay.
same one. So it'll be the same roll, it's just not going to be as difficult for you to do.
And I'm not gonna wrap the blood.
This is
No.
going to be far easier for you to do than trying to make a countermeasure that can overcome a Nosferatu system.
And that is just 3 successes
Okay.
for the routines and subroutines.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna spend willpower.
No?
No. Leave me with my willpower.
I will for now. So, You begin working on this other code, and I mean, it's not anywhere near as attractive as the other code, which every now and again you just glance over and just admire it for a bit longer.
I blow pictures at it like, you're beautiful.
But you're pretty certain that what you've ended up with can get you in. If there is anything to be salvaged, it can get you in.
And then when I get ready, I get a how do you call those? It's like a backpack that you put.
Satchel?
Thank you. So I get a satchel, preferably a waterproof one, and I store that, an extra battery, charged, and a couple of hard drives. More like I don't know. It's 2001, so I'm gonna go 1 gigabyte. I'm going big.
Easy big spender. So
That's like
you managed to
5
gather
hard
together all
drives.
your bits and pieces, put them into this satchel. It's compact, but it's in there. Your satchel's not really waterproof, but you know you shield it enough, and you might be.
It's not like I'm gonna submerge it and nothing like that.
Yeah.
But if it rains or it splashes or whatever's inside, it'll be safe.
I mean, aside from the many expenditures that Moses already makes, you're not a sewer Nosferatu, really. So
Exactly. So that's why I'm grabbing that one. But cable for connections, Ethernet and modem, wiring, and well, the little phone with the clips that you use to check whether there's line or not when you're trying to hack in the early 2000s.
cool. So basically, you managed to gather everything together that you need in order to make an attempt to hack into their database.
Okay. If there is anything, I'm prepared.
Cool.
And then I put my brass knuckles
And your brass knuckles. You're putting them on now?
on the satchel.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you managed to gather your bits and pieces together.
I play with Foggy.
Okay. Benjamin, once you've managed to add more touches towards this painting, it's getting to the point now where if you want to commit to any other types of plans tonight, you probably want to do it. Or you can just settle in towards finishing your painting, in which case I'll allow you another roll.
I will just settle in and paint.
Okay. Make another roll towards your total.
Okay.
This will occupy you for the rest of the night.
That's fine.
It's cool.
Benjamin would rather be doing this than almost anything else that could happen to him tonight, so it's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's the number you needed.
That's what you needed.
That is what I
That's
needed.
what you needed.
So-
you were 5 short.
I was 5 short.
Over the course of the night, you ignore any and all sounds that are coming from the inside of the hotel. You can hear Mrs. Morovsky snoring from the next room, but you ignore that. You can hear Moses' kind of cheer coming from down the hall. You can hear the yipping of Foggy, but all of this is just background noises. You are just
I'm
focusing.
just zoned.
To the same degree with which Moses had fixated on the screen, you are now intently staring at this piece. And every now and again, your eyes will dip back down to the majesty that is Edmund at the centre of this piece. And everything around it, it feels like just as you blur something to add more emphasis towards Edmund, you suddenly glance over to something else which is drawing towards the eye, and you're thinking, no, that's not suitable. And you blur it more. But in a weird, twisted way, the more that you kind of tarnish the rest of this piece, the more magnificent it ends up as a result. There is one particular bit that as you're smudging one of the images, it comes away and you glance back towards it, and it is that same familiar figure. And there is a part of you which suddenly kind of you look towards your thumb as though like
It's betrayed me.
and you look, the features of this image that you've just smeared, you look at your thumb almost as though it's been captured and imprinted upon your thumb, but there's nothing there apart from the ink. And as you kind of look back at this area of the picture, trying to envision what person you had painted before you started to blur it, you cannot for the life of you recall what this individual looks like. And for a moment, you just stop moving. No longer painting, you're just staring at this image, and at this person in particular. And it's the only part of this painting that is drawing your focus more so than Edmund. And there's an anger that begins rising up in you just at your own foolishness for not noticing this before you had just blurred it out. But then all of a sudden, out the corner of your eye, you see the image that is Edmund. And the anger just slowly subsides. And then you remind yourself you need to finish this piece. And you can finish it if you commit to it. And you pick back up your brush, you dab it back in the paint, and you return to work.
You do know that Edmund's going to be way more fascinated about that much of the thumb.
Yeah,
So,
I do.
Jim.
Dylan's probably spent some time on the map, on the couple of maps of the area that he's got, and then wanting to get on, but knowing that not going to get able to get the stuff that he knows he's probably going to need until next night. He's gonna go up on the roof and just spend the rest of the few hours just on the roof, keep an eye out, watching over the domain.
Okay. So are you taking an active stance in looking over the domain, or are you just going to stay up there and just be observant of the haven?
I think I should take a patrol the domain.
Okay.
Domain patrol.
Domain patrol.
Okay. If you can roll for me 4 dice, include your hunger dice.
4 dice.
He's gonna catch someone poaching.
Oh,
Okay, that
is a critical success.
That's
So I
5
have
successes.
5 successes.
on a
5.
On a quick
critical
win.
success.
Cool win.
Okay.
He's gonna find someone
Okay.
poaching.
It's one of these rolls you kind of want him not to pass.
Okay. Jim, you begin making your circuits of the domain, and you're at this point your familiarity with the place is second to none, and you are treading practice routes. You are cutting from one point to the next in the most efficient way you know, but you are stopping in all the critical entry points that you know someone would have to go to try and keep their approach into the domain somewhat subtle. But you know all these entry points at this point. You know where the manhole covers are. You know where the alleyways leading to the areas where the kind congregate are. The areas where you go to feed without considerable risk. And you know all these areas at this point. And as you are making your way around on a second loop before cutting back towards your haven, something draws your eye as you are making a crossing. You are making your way across the zebra crossing. You hear a kind of soft rasping noise, and it stops you. Most other people don't notice it. No one else kind of cuts a look. Everybody else is just quickly making their way as the cars and their headlights are just blaring in towards the side of your face. You stop and you turn back and glance towards an alleyway, and the lights from the cars don't quite touch what's inside there, but you can hear that rasping noise. And as you look towards it, you hear a mrrr from the car, and you glance over towards them, and that flash of your eyes towards them suddenly stops the guy before he hams the horn a second time, and he stops and seems to reconsider hurrying you along. But then you turn back and walk back to the other side of the road where you've just come from to get a better look at this alleyway. And as the cars kind of speed off, you glance into this alleyway, and the individual that you can see kind of hunched in there is just staring at the wall opposite. And you watch them for a moment, and they kind of shakily get up, steadying themselves on a load of rubbish bins, just trying to almost like they're not quite certain where they are or where their balance is. For a moment you think they're probably drunk, but the way this individual is dressed, the immaculate way that they're dressed, is not the kind of state you'd expect someone this, heavily intoxicated to be. And he stops and looks at you, and as the lights from the cars that are passing catch him, you can see just how pale he is. And the side of his neck, you can see 2 pinpricks. And he just kind of stares at you, takes 2 steps, and then collapses.
I'm going to first check vital signs, see if these at least.
Okay, so you're rushing into the alleyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay, so you run in towards where this gentleman is, and he's in a suit. It's all touched up, and the only kind of markings upon him is the fact that on the darker fabric, not on the white shirt underneath, but on the darker fabric of the actual suit, is a dampness from the blood that is trickling out from these 2 marks. And the white fabric of his shirt is damp and almost transparent from where he's fallen in one of the puddles. And as you move up towards him and you press your fingertips onto the side of his neck, you can feel a pulse, but it's very irregular. If you roll, we'll say intelligence plus medicine.
So many
Oh,
dice.
that's 2 successes.
2 successes.
That's good.
His heart's not beating strong enough or quick enough where you'd feel comfortable leaving him. You're not quite certain how much blood he's lost, but given how pale he is, it's probably a fair amount.
Yeah, is the pinprick still bleeding?
Yep.
And then,
Okay.
so
You run your tongue over the marks. You clear the trickle of blood, but the pinpricks don't vanish.
we're placing the shirt of his shirt off and press it on press on a wound.
You're taking his shirt off.
Just ripping a part of his shirt off and pressing it.
Okay, so you rip off the fabric of his outer of his jacket and begin pressing it in. If you can roll another intelligence plus medicine check for me.
2.
2. Okay. The pressure that you put upon his throat seems to be stemming the blood that's coming out, because where he's been bitten is on a vein, so there is a bit of blood coming out. And if you leave him for much longer, he's probably going to bleed out, more so than he is now. But the pressure you're applying seems to be at least slowing it. But pressure alone is not going to keep him alive. You probably have... we're looking at about 10-15 minutes at most.
10-15 minutes.
What do you want to do?
I'm going to... I would know how far the hospital is.
From where you are, you could probably carry him there if you went quick.
Yeah, that's going to hood up. Hood up.
Okay.
Pick him up and run him to hospital whilst keeping him
Okay.
out.
We'll say strength plus athletics.
Stamina
Plus athletics. Sorry. No, actually, no.
He lives
Sorry.
for rolls like this.
I'll go with my initial one. It'll be strength plus athletics because it's speed here rather than the distance you're going for.
Yeah, it's like 5-6 blocks
Spend that
down.
willpower, boy.
Yeah, spend that willpower. Because otherwise
That's an awful roll.
There's a 1 on the 100.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
1 success!
1?
1 success.
Okay.
Eat.
Okay.
There's a 1 on
I
that.
got 6 dice there!
Did you want to roll any? Can you re-roll anymore?
No, he's
No,
done
he
it.
already
re-rolled.
power.
I already spent willpower.
All right.
You know you got a 1 on the 100 dice as well.
Yeah, I know.
As you pick him up, you're reminded just how... I mean, he doesn't look like a heavy guy. He's not the smallest of guys, but he doesn't look heavy. But as you pick him up, the sheer dead weight of him and the dampness of his clothes makes him heavier than he probably should be. And as you begin barreling out of the alleyway, making your way, you almost shoulder check some people that are coming around the corner, and they all give you a look and they shoot a curse down at you, and then they all suddenly go silent as they see you charging off southwards with this guy over your shoulders, and they just stop saying anything. 1 or 2 people you can hear like the tapping of a phone, but then that's about it, and you turn the corner before anything else is said, and you begin making a beeline directly towards the hospital. But he is making less and less groaning noises the further you're going, and then by the time you manage to reach the street opposite, he is silent. What do you want to do? You are in full view of people everywhere. You are making a beeline directly towards the hospital. No stealth.
I will still keep my hood up, being straight in the ER.
Okay. The moment that you rush towards the hospital and the doors fling open, one of the nurses who's working the counter suddenly lowers the clipboard that she's writing on and moves towards you. What's happened?
I think this guy's been attacked. He's lost a lot of blood. I don't know.
And then as she's speaking, she turns around and gestures towards someone who rushes off down the corridor, and then a few seconds later, hospital staff come down with a gurney and they pull it out next to him. Put him down, please.
I put him on there.
Okay, and what's his name?
I don't know.
You just found him like that, and they were already starting him off down the corridor, and as she's trying to get these answers from you, the moment that it's clear that you do not know, she turns around and just goes off after him.
I don't come out.
Okay. Do me a favour. Roll.
Oh no.
We'll say Dex plus stealth, please.
Dex plus stealth. Same dex pool. 1 lousy success.
1.
1 lousy success.
Okay.
I'm probably going to need the rest of that willpower, so I'm not so much willpower.
For sure.
Okay. You don't really get a glance. I mean, there are some people in the waiting room. There's some people on the desk. But given how quickly you came in and the priority seemed to be upon this guy that you just dropped onto a gurney, the only person that you know to have seen your face was the nurse that was speaking to you, and her attention was split between you and the patient. The moment it was clear that you didn't know anything, she abandoned you and went straight after him. As you kind of do a quick glance of the room and then turn and bolt out of the room, no one's looking at you so much as looking after the person that's just gone. Whether anyone else has noticed you, it's hard to tell. But as you start moving towards the exit. Roll wits plus awareness for me.
1.
One?
Success. Yep.
Okay. You move out towards the street, and as you are making your way across the car park with your hood turned up, you suddenly stop and then glance back towards the door, just doing a quick double check to see whether or not anybody's actually noticed. And you notice that as the doors have swung shut, or rather that they've clipped shut, there is somebody on the very far side of them that's just watching you move, just with a very passive expression, and they're making absolutely no secret whatsoever of the fact that they're watching you. And then the moment that you kind of turn and glance at them, some other people are moving towards the door, and it's at that moment you tear your face away just before they can glimpse you in the car park. And then after a few moments you glance back towards the doors, and the individual that was watching you is not there anymore.
I'm going to head straight back to Haven, because I think Moses has fixed the cameras that we're looking at the moment.
Yeah.
So we'd be straight to Moses.
Okay.
Who is it?
Jim, we got a problem.
I'm blocking all of this out, by the way.
You hear a snort from down the hall as Mrs. Morodsky begins stirring from the rapping of your knuckles on the door.
Unlock the door. Open it.
Step
Took
in.
you long enough.
Step in. Make sure
Yeah,
I step in, make sure the door's closed. We got a poacher.
You found the poacher?
No, I found the man he drained. Almost dry.
Oh, okay.
I tell him the area.
Which area? And then I go. We go to the little room with the security set up now.
Okay.
Like we have like a little security room. It's basically like a little cupboard. That's the security room.
Okay. He begins flashing over all of the various camera angles and the footage that's been done, and you immediately, as he's just beginning pouring over them, he looks between you and the cameras trying to gauge a reaction as he flicks from each one, and you're just staring at them trying to memorize where they are in placement. And after he goes through one cycle and then starts on the second one, it becomes apparent to you that the area where you found this individual is not covered by the cameras.
Telling him, fuck.
Can I find? I probably find the footage of him running at some point with the guy, right?
Yeah, you do.
I put it backwards and try to follow that route through different pieces of footage until I see, until where I believe I get like this black hole zone.
Oh yeah.
And that in that zone, I start rolling back cameras that give me the surroundings until I see the guy approaching.
Okay.
It must.
We will
must
say-
be like sort of.
Resolve plus technology.
Would I be able to make a roll to keep an eye on the area? Because
You can give teamwork. Do you have technology?
I have 1 point technology.
Then yeah, you gain an extra die. But the difficulty, the difficulty that this is facing is based upon them entering the area.
That is 4 successes.
Hey.
Okay. Okay.
Teamwork.
So you backtrack through this image, through these images, and the individual that you see in the suit, you finally glimpse him, not at that alleyway, but in fact a street over, and you only recognize him based upon the styling of his hair. He's got like one of those mullet styles that's like, yeah, and on a suit it's instantly recognizable as like, it's a nice suit, but and you recognize him then, and you can see him moving down the street, and he's there talking to what looks to be quite a young woman, about 10 years younger than him. She's probably in her, you're talking lower teens. In fact, she is of the appearance where if you got a closer look, you could probably recognize a school logo on the jumper that she's wearing. And she's moving down with him and just making the odd comment without really looking at him. She's more glancing around at the area around her. Seems very distracted. And then after a moment, he leans in and whispers to her, and then she just stops and then stares at him. and then she grabs him by the hand and takes him across the edge of the yeah. Well, not towards the alley, across the road. Skipping the zebra crossing, narrowly missing a car as she takes him across. The guy looks a bit more distracted by the fact that he almost got clipped by a car than she does, and then they vanish off camera.
So what do you do with the guy? So you took the guy to the hospital, right?
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he died before he got in there. I tried looking at the wounds closed, but they weren't closed.
The wounds were not closed.
The wounds would not close.
No, I mean, I know they will not close if you lick them because you did not make them.
Oh, that'd be. Oh, right. That explains that.
Yeah, but why would you take a guy with fang marks to the hospital?
What the hell else am I supposed to do with a guy?
If my brain were alive, I would be having a migraine right now. Okay. Remember what Prince Emrys said in court?
Yep.
Reaches to the Masquerade.
Yep.
That's one. And it happened in our domain.
Yep.
We need to know the smiling man. We need to get to know him now. And I have nothing to give Sexy Pearl. Carrion, you met her. She can introduce us.
Oh, she can't get it.
Yeah, but instead of asking for a boon and have it there, she put me on the really tough situation of me having to offer something until she finds it appealing. It's a weird way of doing business.
And what sort of thing would appease her?
I have no idea. I was gonna get her a puppy and then try to ease her into conversation until she said something. I mean, she was really fond of Foggy when she met him, but I was not gonna look for another fox. So I was gonna go for a little baby terrier or something. I have no idea. Maybe the prospect of not one but two vampires offering her a moderate boon that she can collect at any point. Then she would not only introduce us to our neighbor, but also at least give us a little bit of leeway, because now that he's in the hospital, we have nothing to do there. Like, it's not like I can just go in there and do my best Katya impersonation and try to blare the alarm and hide the body or whatever. I'm aware of what's going on in the hospital. It's not our territory, so we need to. Are you there?
Are you?
Yes.
Yes.
So what if? Remember Jim?
The good-looking one.
I certainly find
That one. Want me to hook you up? Either way, I'm on my terminal, telling him stuff.
Is he interested? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Actually, he doesn't even know I'm chatting with you.
Then I'm interested.
I like the way you think. Do you want to go out for a ride?
JK, 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 JK.
I know. Basically, him and myself are interested in you introducing us to the smiling man. I have not figured out what to provide, but maybe if both of us.
If you cannot decide, you can always offer a boon.
Consider it done. I'm thinking, you know when you have the message there and you're thinking about hitting enter.
It's worth noting.
It's gonna be a boon with there is like. I'm filling my boonometer. So. Do I really want to owe a boon?
Do me a favor. Roll. Roll intelligence plus politics.
So that's intelligence.
Yeah.
That is 4 successes, critical success.
Okay. It is very, very dangerous for you to offer an open-ended boon.
Exactly.
I mean, obviously, if you're kind of like specific boons are
something that
very
happens.
rarely going to be accepted. But just saying, if someone says, I want a boon, you're like, consider it done. Don't. It's probably not the wisest thing, especially, I mean, you're safest doing that within clan, but also boons can be inherited by other people. Boons are exceptionally fucking dangerous.
Yeah, that's why I'm like,
But if she's asking for a boon, you can guarantee that she can set you up a meeting. Because boons are the currency that you want to get. So if you're offering one, it's very unlikely she's going to say, I want more than a boon.
no, yeah, definitely.
How big a boon is this?
It's not gonna be a major boon.
It
But
depends. It depends on who this guy is and how hard it is to set up
But
a meeting.
exactly, if she ends up introducing me to the, I don't know, the gangrel Methuselah or whatever, that's gonna be like a life or death kind of boon.
Do you want to ask what level of boon it is then? So we have
Yeah.
that knowledge.
I just backspace. How big of a boon would that be? Because we live together in our haven, so we have what they call inconsequential. I think it's like when I
Minor.
a minor boon to her.
That can, yeah.
That's still not good.
Basically,
This is the most reluctant.
Let me just make sure I'm saying the right one before you agree to this. There's different stages for the boon.
Yeah.
I like to think that Rachel is watching this
And she's
and
probably
going, no!
She is watching this. Hi, Rachel.
Oh God! Hey!
Here you go. It goes trivial boon, minor boon, major boon, and life boon.
Okay.
Those are the values.
She's going for
but a minor boon is minor boons require one of the kindred going out of their way to perform or pay off. They have a small but lasting cost or involve some risk, physical, social, or other. A kindred might promise or demand a minor boon for casting a vote in favour of another during a convocation of elders, killing an inconsequential but very important human, granting access to a book of law or an ancient diary, or providing a wrestle or sanctuary in a desperate hour. That is the equivalent of. That's a minor boon.
You're a witness. I'm taking one for the team.
And I'll be paid. Don't worry.
Yes.
Immediately the reply comes through. Will confirm with Michael Chase. When do you want to meet?
How fast can you make it happen?
Tonight.
Done.
Time TBC.
Okay.
And then she logs off.
Okay.
So we got the introduction.
Now comes the really interesting part.
Well, I think one of the
Waiting.
more interesting things is to find out who this fucking poacher is.
Yeah, the poacher is. Yeah, let's kill time with that.
Yeah.
Let's watch the footage. You know what? I blow it up in the big TV screen on the wall. Like those early 2000s when for the first time you could connect your TV to your computer and you felt like super techie. That's what I'm doing. Like showing off.
Okay, you can do that. Why?
Okay.
Why am I surprised?
So it's a girl, late.
Based upon the... You can't see the image very well. You certainly can't make out her face. But she has long but slightly curled... I mean, no longer than about her shoulders, but it's like slightly curled hair. She has very pale features. More pale than it should be. And the clothes that she's wearing are almost like secondary school outfits. So you're probably looking at somebody that's... Based upon how she looks and her height by comparison to this guy... Yeah, lower end of teens. You're talking someone that's...
13, 15.
Yeah, somewhere in that region. Based upon the image that you've got, it is a distance that you're seeing her by. And the moment that she starts coming in close proximity, because it's... If you're looking at it from an angle, he's in full shot and she's like cut off until she gets close. And then almost at the moment that they reach the point where you can start making out like the lower half of her features, she grabs him by the hand and darts across the room.
Okay, and she turns. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have? Never seen her. Do we? You have footage of her exiting?
Actually, no. I started looking for footage of around. So I sort of draw a line on the map. Ha!
You have the map.
I go like, okay. So whatever in the area she had, like whatever street he came in. Oh, sorry, he came out, and whatever sort of cross over the street, like the angles, so that I will just do those 2 lines. That'll give me an approximate center, and then I draw a radius and look at every single footage around that area to see in which direction she left.
Okay.
And I don't have to scour through many hours.
Based upon the images that you've seen in the cameras, the areas that you know that the camera covers, and the fact that the footage you've managed to skim through, you haven't spotted someone as distinct as at 10 o'clock at night or around 10 o'clock at night, someone in a school uniform and looking lower teens wandering around on her own. You do not spot her in any of the areas that are covered by camera. It's likely that she went straight out the way that she came in with the guy. And if she follows that road out, it very likely takes her straight out of your domain.
Okay.
Or at least to the edge of it. You're probably looking at a good 5 minutes walk before she'd reach the end of the domain, and that's if she didn't stop. So there is
close to the center then.
Yes.
Well, close
so
to the upper center part.
So when he did his circuits, it was around the exterior. He was making his way back towards the haven when he saw the guy in the alley.
She was relatively close to
So it is quite close. It wasn't too far away from the haven, but it's not somewhere that you can sight immediately. And the camera angles that you have largely cover the exterior area, or not the exterior area, but the perimeter of your domain.
Got it. Okay, fair enough. What I'm gonna do now is like, do you recall any oddly young-looking vampires during court, other than Katya? I think mentioned her regent that looks like 15, something like that. The one that was talking to Elizabeth Addington at the beginning, they were like really close.
Talbot, isn't it? Something Talbot.
Yeah, that's the Tremere regent.
Yeah.
She doesn't look like. She looks
Victoria
like
Talbot.
Victoria Talbot. So.
Victoria Talbot is someone that would not be making these mistakes.
Yeah, come on.
100%. But still, he's the only one that strikes me as clearly under 18 vampire.
Yeah, I mean, from what you can recall at court, there most of the youngest, Victoria Talbot makes you think of one of the youngest kindred that you can recall from that room.
So there are 2 choices. One, that person managed to obfuscate through electronic devices and pass as a little girl. Or we have a vampire that looks way younger than expected and we have no idea. Could be a thin blood, yes.
Yeah, that's that, and if that's thin blood, that's something that I.
Schools around the area. Any of those have that uniform? And when I say area, is not only within our domain, also without, like around that area.
Okay. If you want to do a search, you can go online.
Yes. So
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, we'll say intelligence plus technology. If you're still, are you Ben? You're still in your room painting.
I can't
right?
hear any of this because
Okay,
I'm
yes.
painting.
Good man.
I've blocked them out.
So, yeah, you can add. Well, no, you can't really help on this because you've got like one terminal to do it on. He can observe and critique, but
Yeah.
you're probably telling him to shut the fuck up while you work.
Yeah, that's, you got a backseat driver. That is only 2 successes.
Okay. There are no schools in London that match the logo on her top. That you can see online in the amount of time that you've been hunting.
I blow up, increase definition on the image.
It is blurred.
It's very blurry, but what I do is I say that as like that. As its own JPEG or
Yeah.
PNG
I mean, the
file.
primary issue that you've got is not only is she at a distance when she was coming into frame, but the waterproof that she's wearing half obscures the image. So you're kind of working off of one side, but looking over the any and all logos of the schools in London, you don't really match or find any that match this kind of style of image. It's almost like a half coat of arms.
Okay.
but you're kind of either you need to dedicate more time to looking for one in London that does have it, and maybe not one of the ones that's better known, or it's not from London.
I just start. What I'm gonna do is start playing with the cutout of the image I did.
Okay.
With the logo, it's like I don't know. Put it on half and then mirror it, so it gives me, because most coat of arms are mirror images or like symmetrical. So I try
Largely,
to, I start playing with it,
Okay.
and going through basics of stuff. Maybe I learn some heraldry in the process. I probably start going through pictures.
It's worth noting that most coat of arms are not symmetrical. There are differences on both sides.
He's American. He's not used to coat of arms.
Yeah. Which is probably why you're looking at it and thinking, it looks okay. And even Jim's
let me mirror it. Like, he's not gonna. He's gonna be doing.
I mean, you don't know coat of arms that well, Jim. I mean, you're a modern guy, but you're looking at it, and it. I mean, you're seeing what looks like the lower half of. I mean, it could be a lion, it could be a horse. It looks like something like that, but then it's like cut onto one side, and it looks like someone's just got on a paint, or like a bit of paint, and just like closed the page on it and opened it into like a smear. It just doesn't. It doesn't match.
I'm just killing time until Sexy Pearl comes back.
Okay.
So.
So
Do the police? No, they wouldn't have any sort of technology with those kind of records and stuff. Because I feel on a roll, and I was thinking about hacking the. No, you know what? Let's wait.
yeah.
Let's
Remember the
wait,
discussion
stay.
you guys had at the end of episode 11?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't be cocky. Don't be stupid. Let's erase the evidence of poaching. Not poaching. Actually, I keep those bits of footage as evidence of poaching. If we ever find this kindred and that kindred ends up dead, it's like, hey, here it is, poaching in my domain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wash my hands.
Yeah,
So I actually started making a file of sensitive a folder of sensitive files that need to be protected.
Yeah, I'm gonna start having a look at the cameras, try and figure out any other blind spots that you might have had, and just try and.
Actually, what we should do is identify blind spots, and instead of turning the cameras, trying to sort out getting new ones, maybe tapping into the CCTV so we don't have redundancy, and then like the police and ourselves will be looking at the same, but then we have our own.
Yeah. Wait.
Then I just grab a tennis ball and start against the wall. I don't even bother picking it up. Foggy. Foggy.
Into that, I'm gonna.
He's gonna get bored. I'm not.
Yeah. Jim's gonna send a message when your contact gets back to you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go upstairs and quietly look for anything that Miss Morrissey might have for a few things for a basic first aid kit. Thinking, and we should have done this before. So,
Okay.
Basic sort of little first
If
aid.
Mrs. Morosky has a first aid kit, it is not behind the counter. Her knife's still behind the counter.
Her pain knife?
Yes.
I'm gonna check it, see how.
Oh, it's sharp. It's sharp.
Yeah.
It's a decent pen knife. It's one of those ones where you flick it out and then you have to kind of clip the bottom and then push it down to make it back in. It's one of those annoying ones where you have to, in two different places to get it to shut. But it's the kind of one that with minimal force you could probably, shank someone. It's quite an impressive knife, but it's not one of the you'd immediately get had for being illegal. The length isn't massive, but it's still surprising to see Mrs. Morovsky with one of these knives.
Jim's more smiling than you. He's quite very happy with that.
She's asleep with her newspaper there as normal. The front article being, you can see it half obscured in that it's mentioning repeat stories of the murders that happened recently. And as you're kind of having a quick glance, you note that it's the press have already got a name for the individual that's been doing these killings as the Blood Eagle Butcher. And Mrs. Morovsky's, you can tell from the folds in the newspaper, quite an avid reader of this particular thing. Clearly she's interested in, the more juicy stories. But she's snoring away happily, and you look behind the counter, there's no first aid kit there. If she's got it anyway, it's probably in her room.
I'll leave that for now. Just gonna see the name and go, that's a bloody terrible name. And probably go up to the roof and just keep an eye, watch out over the haven.
Okay.
Till Moses messengers.
Alright. Okay. So you're doing your painting?
Mm-hmm.
You're doing your surveillance?
Yep.
Probably back at the computer, running the face or trying to figure out
It is about
the footage.
It's about 1:30 in the morning before a notification comes up saying that Sexy Pearl's logged back in. And she has a message saying 10 minutes, hospital, you on your own.
No foggy?
On your own, cap locks. Notified Michael Chase of Boon will notify you when it's time to collect. She logs off.
Stay here. Make sure no one gets in trouble.
He just stares at you with those big foxy eyes. The ball just half in the mouth.
Actually, just stay here and play. Don't break anything.
Pants its head and watches you go.
Yeah, and I just sent a text to Jim. I was asked to go on my own.
Do you want me to be nearby for backup?
Come downstairs.
I gotta go down the stairs.
When I see her, see him, it's like, well, I was thinking of. It's 1:30 in the morning. Just walking there.
Yep.
It's a 5-minute walk, so.
Yep.
But if you want to shadow me, when you reach the edge of the domain, just stay in the domain.
Alright.
I.
Message me the moment you get any trouble gets on there.
Yeah. Mask of 1,000 faces. I step out the door and go hungry.
Yay. Feels like history repeating itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time. Yep. And then it's now Noah Sullivan's no more. So it's actually I don't even bother. People see whatever they want in that power.
Anything they expect to see that's
Yeah.
just kind of
So
fits
it's
in.
gonna be a guy walking in the middle of the night.
They expect to see
Right?
someone in, some measure of waterproofs as the weather's begun to get a bit more damp now.
No.
Just making their way unhurriedly towards the hospital. I mean, the closer you get to the hospital, the more like you might look like you had some sort of scuffle, not a major one, because
Yeah, people
you're
would
not
expect
racing towards the
someone.
hospital.
Yeah.
But as you make your way towards it, nobody pays you any particular mind, and you start towards the double doors leading in towards the waiting room, or are you going in for a different entrance?
I'm such an idiot. I should have asked where in the. Well, she said hospital. 10 minutes in the hospital. No place is in the hospital. I'm assuming.
I probably followed a couple minutes afterwards and just stayed near the edge of the domain.
1:30 in the morning. The only thing that's gonna be open is ER.
Damn.
Also A&E.
Okay. So you're making your way into
Yeah.
the
Because
accident
every other.
rooms.
Actually, if I have like a couple of minutes, I try to go sort of around the main entrances to see if there's someone there that sees me. I'm not expecting a door to be open, but maybe I'm supposed to be in one of those. And if not, at the 10-minute mark or close to it, I'm going through the A&E.
Okay. You wander around, slowly around the edge of the hospital, and the accident and emergency is at, as it is on most nights, busy. But as you're making a slow circuit around the edge, you come to one of the fire escape doors, and you notice that it is just very slightly open. It's not fully closed, it's basically been held to the point where it's not fully shut. And you glance towards it as you make a way around, almost expecting a member of staff to just suddenly turn around and go back in. But there's no one there. And the fire escape light above it is off.
That sounds like an invitation. And I walk into it.
Okay.
Well, making sure no one sees me.
Dex plus stealth.
Does it count as breaking in? Even...
Not really, you're kind of walking through the door. Boo! Don't you boo me, sir.
That is 2 successes.
Okay. You glance over towards the other ends of the car park. There's a few cars that go back and forth, but at this point you just look like somebody that's whatever they expect to see in the car park of the hospital. And you make your way up and towards the door and you open it and then close it. And you're looking around a corridor which... For a moment, you think that you might have entered into an area of the hospital that's not supposed to be entered into because the lights aren't on. And then as you kind of stop and observe, you look back towards the door as you press it shut, and the fire escape light, which is on the far end, suddenly flickers on. And then the one across from it flickers on. One of the normal lights embedded into the wall, and then the one that veers off towards the left flickers on. You begin making your way...
Guided by the light.
You begin making your way down there, and your footfalls make no sound in this echoing hallway. And you are uncomfortably aware that there are so many windows in these doors going past where you are. And every now and again, you fight the urge to just glimpse in them, just as though you're expecting to see someone just working there, suddenly going, "Who the fuck's that?" Or, something similar.
Well,
I mean, you'd be able to pass something for the hospital.
To them, I might look like a security guard or something.
I think
but
it'd
if
be
that's
more...
a place where not even that kind of people go, I would look.
It's more
out of
unnerving
place.
for the idea that whoever's there is working in the dark.
Yeah.
And you're almost expecting to find some mysterious individual just staring at you from these windows, but you don't see anybody.
Or the very awkward part that the hospital's not being used, and then you have 2 people that work there, having their own rendezvous, personal stuff in the dark, and then the 2 of them see somebody else walking. It's like, right now, it's let's
And
put
you continue
face
around the
first.
corner, and it comes towards one of the lights above. The elevator just flashes, and then the doors.
Ay, Dios mío. I go in the elevator thinking, such a bad idea.
You get into the elevator, and then the door shuts behind you, and you stop and just look around, and then you look over towards the panel, and as you reach out almost to touch any button really, just as you're about to touch it, it's suddenly ding, and the elevator starts moving up. And you're uncomfortably aware that you did not fucking touch that. And you're getting flashes back to the time in the crossed hands where shit just happened of its own accord, and it's uncomfortable. And there's almost a moment where you fight the instinct to grab the cross that used to hang all the time from your neck. And then the doors open into a lit corridor. And you stop and you listen, and there's no footfalls on this corridor. And you glance out. The lights are all on. Corridors leading off towards the right, towards the left, numerous hallways and ward numbers going along them. And you stop and you just glance down one corridor and down the other. And then the moment you step out, the doors... And one of the lights above one of the ward rooms just flashes.
And you start looking there.
Okay. You make your way over towards the light and you open it. And then you glance inside, and it's just a long room with hospital beds and patients just sleeping in each one. Their monitors and everything are on, they're going normally. The curtains have been pulled, looking out onto the city. And the TV is still on, although it's on silent with subtitles just flashing up every now and again from some program or another. There's some food trays which are out, and they've not been gathered by the hospital staff. Although they don't look like they've been there for a long time. They just look like they've just not been collected recently. And you think for a moment that probably means someone might be along. But then you also think,
What happened?
yeah, it's odd. They shouldn't be there at this point. And it's quite... You're trying to piece together all these little things that don't really make sense. But then as you...
Like everybody looks like sleeping? Okay. Does this look like normal people, like, you know, hospitalized
Yeah.
due to illness?
People just in hospital beds. Some of them look... most of them, in fact, look quite old. There's one in there that doesn't look as old as the others. Maybe someone that's in their 40s. But that's the youngest individual that's there. The readouts, not that you know particularly much about
the
medicine.
area, like, on my way here, had I read any indication that this is, I don't know, oncology, geriatrics, or whatever?
Nothing on the path that you've taken. It's literally you stepped out of the elevator, and it's just the ward directly to your right was flashing,
Okay.
and you've made your way straight in there. You can go out and have a proper look around if you want.
On my way back.
Okay. So.
Unless they throw me out the window.
Okay. So.
Here I am giving him ideas again. Okay.
So, what are you doing? You clip. You hear that behind you as the door shuts, and you clip it into place.
And this is just... Is it another hallway, or is it just... Oh, I'm freaking out. I start approaching one of the beds.
Okay, you move over towards this, what looks like quite an elderly guy that's held up to the machine, and his heart racer is going off. And then from behind you, you're... From your right, you hear... And as you look around, every single patient is sat up and staring at you. And then you stop, and then you glance back at you from behind you, and you turn and look at the individual that you just staring at, and they too are sat up and just staring at you. And as one, they'll just smile.
Hi.
Good morning, Moses.
Everybody?
Everyone in unison.
Oh, wow, that's...
It's like a really unnerving chorus. In time, they're all speaking in unison.
Now I get why you're called the Smiling Man. But I think it should be more like man? Do you have another name you'd like to be addressed as?
The smiling man suits our purpose. Would you please take a seat, Mr. Moses? And as one, their hands towards a seat at the end of the room.
I walk towards the seat at
Or
the
their
end of
heads.
the room. I mean, for me, this is an episode straight out of Poltergeist.
All of their heads just twist towards you and just watch you. They're all perfectly erect in their beds, in the exact same position, every single one of them a mirror image, save for their outward appearance. And they're just watching you. Every one of them just smiling. Not in a kind of maniacal smile, but they're just softly smiling as they're just observing you. And they wait until you've sat. And you've settled yourself. And they say nothing. What can we do for you, Moses?
Well, first I wanted to introduce myself to you.
We already know who you are, Moses. We know who all of you are.
That's not good, right?
It depends, Moses.
You know the bad stuff, right?
We know everything, Moses.
Ay, Dios mío, la pelona.
Their next response is in Spanish. You have nothing to fear, Moses, as long as you adhere to a simple rule.
Sí, señor. Which rule?
You do exactly as we instruct you to do, whilst in the premise of this hospital.
As I have done so far.
You have, Moses.
Okay. First, I wanted to introduce ourselves. Myself. Well, I wanted to get to know you. You're our neighbor. Our domain ends, well, where yours begins. And first, well, it's not like I'm likely to show up asking for a cup of sugar or whatever. But if that were the case, here I am. What are you? And I look at every single person. It's like,
They're just staring back at you. Not one of them is blinking. But they are all smiling quite... It's almost like they're communicating with an old friend, just the smile on the face. But the fact that every single twitch, every single movement is mirrored in every one of these individuals, it is exceptionally unnerving. And given that this room is lightly, it's brightly lit, it should not be as unnerving as it is. But for Moses, it's probably the worst place he could possibly be. And they're all just staring at you. And then in response they go,
this is...
well, that's an awfully personal question, Moses. If we might ask you to show us a goodwill gesture by answering the question yourself first, and then we will happily respond.
I'm Kindred.
A vampire.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
What is your clan, Moses?
Nosferatu. I know it doesn't look like, but not a lot of people appreciate true beauty, right?
As one. They stop.
I'm gonna die.
We are what you would call magi, or mage.
All of you?
No answer.
Okay.
Why did you ask to meet us, Moses? It is not often that we acquiesce to these requests. But your activities in our hospital has made it a prudent endeavor for us to meet.
Yeah, about that, apologies for anything that might have happened in the hospital. We're new to the area and or to the city, and we have been given this domain sort of recently. But this will change. We will not be showing up in the hospital unannounced. We will do exactly as we're told when within the confines of the hospital, as per your request. There's one thing I would like to ask.
Ask, Moses.
Okay. I believe it would be beneficial. Maybe, I don't know if for your...
In unison, all their heads snap towards the door, as you can hear something just echo from the corridor. And then very slowly, back to you. And then the smile returns.
Maybe we can help each other somehow.
You are welcome to make a request, Moses.
Since, I mean, even that we're neighbors and all. Okay, earlier tonight, one of my friends, he came bringing someone that was injured. Someone that we later found had been fed upon by another vampire, another kindred. The person was really weak, but he had showings, markings of how he was fed. My friend trying to save his life, just brought him here, dropped him, and left, because we knew we shouldn't mess with you. You see, that poses a risk. Someone drained of blood, with the puncture marks on the wound, in the neck. All the weird stuff that has been happening, like the fires and the stabbings from months ago. Even though there's been a couple of months of peace, still it's a busy night tonight. And you don't want the bad publicity, right? It would be weird if people start asking like uncomfortable questions for something that you didn't do and we didn't do. Somebody else was poaching on our territory, but we'll find them. If we can find like a little gold vampire somewhere, but we'll find them.
The individual in question,
Yeah.
will they become kindred?
Have they died?
Yes.
How did he say that? Oh, he passed away. Oh, that sucks. No, he will not. He will not rise.
There's the very, very, very smallest of declines in the smile, and you only notice it because it happens on every face. But the smile's still there, but it's the slightest of.
A little bit of a disappointment kind of feeling. Like, no.
In that case, the evidence will be destroyed. But in return, we ask a favor.
Okay, if it's something reasonable and within my possibilities.
Do you bleed, Moses?
No, I don't.
Can you bleed, Moses?
If I am like proper fed, like super fed, but it'll take draining too many people. I don't kill anymore. Yes, I am 100% willing to lie on that one.
Your roll.
I am making
your roll.
lies as I speak. So what will that be?
That'll be manipulation plus
Manipulation?
subterfuge.
Come on, lie master.
This is gonna be like this bestial failure of the night plus compulsion. That is 3 successes.
Okay.
Like which is actually I am saying I'm not killing anymore, which is sort of true, but then I am
Still a
not.
general lie.
But it's a general lie. It's like I avoid. If I get caught, I would have to force myself to bleed. And if I had any blood in my system, but it's not like. I look around
the
if there's like a
first time-
scalpel or something.
For the first time, the one closest to you, an elderly woman that's quite hunched, lifts a hand towards you. None of the others are moved, but she has the exact same expressions, exact same posture.
What do you... My hand? I can do other favors.
The fingers slowly wrap, and then they come back to a rest in the lap.
You have to understand the reason I am here is because information or knowledge. I think you might be keen on that, right? You're asking questions. You want to understand a little bit more about us, right?
All of their heads cant very slightly.
So if I give you a little bit of an understanding of how we function.
You would be willing to show us this, Moses?
Tell you, not show you, because that would be
Their heads
suicide.
twist back.
But I would explain you the basic hierarchy.
The smile lessens again.
And the reasons as to why the person in top was very particular about some instructions that we got, and hence me being here.
We understand why. We understand. But we want to know for ourselves, Moses. We know you can bleed.
If I have something to drink that I can bleed out, yeah, I would rather not leave the hospital.
The fact you function now means you must have blood in your system, Moses.
Yeah, but it's not that I have a lot, and I'm getting hungrier, and that's not a lie. I'm getting hungrier, and we all get hungrier as time goes by.
If you do not bleed, Moses, or you cannot bleed, we wish to meet a kindred who can. Perhaps one of your companions will be willing to cement this goodwill.
Hey, what are you up to?
What? Is he you texting me?
Yeah.
Well, I blocked it out because I'm painting. I don't hear the text buzz.
Nope. And there's no response.
Yeah, next one on my line is Jim. It's like, hey, Jim.
You've had your phone to hand waiting for
I'm
you.
okay. Just meeting the smiling man.
How's it going?
Text back, how's it going? I got in touch with one of my friends, Jim, the one who came. Can he come in? So he can... I'll...
The one with the hooded sweatshirt.
Yes, that's the one. Did he misbehave?
Tell him to come in.
Oh, he misbehaved. Yeah, he deserves to give you blood.
Give him instructions. The same way will be open to him.
Okay.
We look forward to meeting him.
Turns out, is some sort of mumbo jumbo couple. I'll explain later. You want to come meet them? Next message. They might know rituals to get rid of the ghost back at the Haven. Next message. Mages can do really wizardry stuff.
What's the catch?
Have to pay the same price I did.
Which is?
A sample of my blood. In this case, yours.
And as he contemplates his answer, we will go to a break. We will pop. I will pop back and continue this in 10 minutes, guys. And in the meanwhile, I'll pass you over to my players.
Can you grab the boards?
Oh, the boards.
Okay.
Is it there in...
Oh yeah, is it in chart? Yeah, cool. Okay, so there's not a lot to add to the board. I'm trying to remember what we updated before. I think we had Agnes last time with the red string there.
No, we did. That
was
we've
last-
updated.
But a new over by Katia, not by Katia, by Moses even, is Martel. Connected because there was the whole poaching face-off, or almost poaching face-off.
Was not
with them.
poaching.
Was not real poaching, but was almost poaching. And I think in terms of new additions, that is it. However, Phil now can tell you what Jim's updated thoughts are on the other players.
Updates are towards our lovely Benjamin, which is he's been learning and might prove valuable because, of course, as people might have figured out, Jim has been teaching Ben how to fight a little bit. Messy from breaking a couple of Ben's ribs accidentally in the process, which, considering the strength difference, yeah. Towards Kat is a little hope that she might teach him a little more, but that's going to be something over time. And for Moses, there's useful enough around, but let's see some more before more of a judgment.
Okay, cool. So if we put that one down and then we bring back the Board of the Dead.
Why are everybody so suspicious of Moses? Come on, he's adorable.
He's a Nosferatu.
An adorable Nosferatu.
I think he's adorable.
Look what we.
So, Board of the Dead. The main thing that shifted here is we've moved the Thin Bloods into this section and linked them here. And there's a note saying they're not actually dead, but they're with the Tremere, so they probably wish they were.
Yeah.
And they're partly here to fill up space. If miraculously any of them ever survive the Tremere, they'll move back to the other board. But otherwise, we're going to leave them here. And that is that.
Yes.
So I think it's Malop.
Malop time. Okay.
Oh.
So thank you very much to everybody that has been helped me update the second coming of Malop since we started. So it's glad to see that we have some viewers from first list of book 1, but now we have let's go with those. We have people from Manchester here in the UK and London, Ontario, Canada. Thank you very much for watching. But now we have people from Porto Alegre, Brazil. Muito obrigado. We have people from the United States, from Los Angeles, California, from Seattle, from Sacramento, and from San Angelo, Texas. And we also have people from Sweden and from the west coast of Sweden, because there were two posed by different people, but they didn't tell me the cities, so probably because I would struggle to pronounce them. So if you want to laugh and your city has a very complicated name, send it over and rate me 1 to 10. So remember, hashtag Malop either on Twitter or write it down on your comments. Tell us, where are you watching us from? This is amazing. Thank you very much.
We also have
everybody.
from obviously Germany and from Florida.
Oh, Florida and Germany. 2 more places.
2 from Germany.
Oh, 2
including
from
Jenny.
Which? Okay.
So you have Jenny and Miss and Reason.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
And Sacramento.
The Sacramento, yes, I already had it. Sacramento, California, and Los Angeles, California. Both of them are here in the list.
Yep. Near Newcastle, we got that one.
Near Newcastle, no.
Yes. Woo! Keep it up, guys.
Oh, is that coming?
Yeah, it's all in the chat.
Oh, the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, chat. It's amazing.
Oh my god.
Okay, write the cities down, and then when when I go through the chat again, I'll update it. So cities is important. Thank you very much.
So on the subject of chat, are there any questions?
Yes. So Elfins asked a question. Did any of you read the backer previews to Chicago by Night?
Previews? No.
Not the previews, no.
Yeah, while I do have access to them, I unfortunately have not had time to really read them because there's a couple of there's the Camarilla PDF and the
there's a couple of them
which I haven't actually got around to reading to yet because work's too busy.
Anything interesting that we should be
So any
knowing from that?
Yes. What do you think about the Sombra and the changes to
Obtenebration?
Okay. Allow me to start. Okay. The La Sombra. So, the La Sombra is one of the most iconic Sabbat clans, but it's also a really important clan to keep in mind if you were playing before the Convention of Thorns and all that era. Like everything pre Camarilla Sabbath kind of situation. It used to be known as one of the high clans. So in the Dark Ages and all of those eras, they were sort of the nobility of vampires, together with the Ventru, the Bruja, and the Toreador, Shemisk, and other clans. For me, it's not difficult to find myself drawn to that clan. They're a clan which is based usually in Spain, and I'm half Spanish, and they're one of their seats of powers is in Mexico. I'm Latin American, not Mexican, but it's if we wanted to play any character when I was playing back home that had that either South American or Iberic sort of flavor, something that culturally we're really used to and it's really close to us, we would go with La Sombra. And also it's really cool because you have the most amazing names and all of them. It's like Corazón de Caballero. I think it's really cool. Obtenebration, I have not read what they have done, but Obtenebration, for those of you who do not know, was the discipline that allowed you to control shadows. La Sombra in Spanish means the shadow. So it's a wordplay there. I have not read them. I have not seen yet what has become of their clan curse, which used to be those were the vampires who would cast no reflection. That would be their old bane. I don't know how that translate to V5 rules. So I am yet to read them, but make sure to ask that question in a couple of episodes, and I'll give you a proper answer, guys.
Note yourself, read that book.
Okay.
Read that book, yeah.
Any last questions?
So actually, we have a question for Titus.
Dun dun dun.
A question for me?
So Miss and Reason is asking, how do you implement the domain tenants? Like, does the prince announce them? They're having a problem justifying and implementing them in their chronicle.
Yeah, I mean the prince's expectations are communicated mainly through through court, through most of the other kindred making it damn apparent what's expected because they don't want to have to deal with the fallout. You've also got any agents of the constable or the sheriff in an American game, such as the hounds and similar. So, to be honest, one of the ways that someone like Emrys is able to maintain as much power is that his expectations are crystal clear. So there's very, very, very little wriggle room that anyone can have to say that they don't understand particular rules, because a tyrant likes nothing better than to be adhered to the letter and to the spirit of what they're saying. So I suppose it kind of depends on the prince, really. I mean, from a mechanical standpoint, obviously just make the players aware of it. But from a narrative standpoint, it depends on the prince. They have their own ways of communicating what their expectations are. So yeah, it can vary.
It can be a nightmare if you're not clear, and then at some point you reach one of those tenants and they come like, "Hey, you've been doing this wrong." That could be a nightmare.
Yeah, but I mean, a kindred that suddenly seems to a prince that pulls an unknown rule out of their hat and says, "Well, this was something that you were expected to adhere to," is likely to encounter a hell of a lot more hatred for what they're doing or dissent from the people in their domain if they keep pulling out these random rules and punishing people for them. They might not be random rules, but if no kindred knows about it, then whereas if they communicate it all and and everybody knows this is something you're expected to do, there's quite a few kindred that will police those rules themselves because, hey, it's an easy way to getting in with the big guy if you start going, hey, do you know those guys? They're not listening. But remember, I am. And I'm a good boy, and I told you because, we're like besties. So, yeah, I hopefully that's... I probably rambled a bit and not actually given a clear answer, so apologies, I do that.
Any more for any more?
So, last question
Ooh.
from D Maxwell 28 for the players. Taking your characters and who they were prior to their embrace, how much different do you believe they would be if brought into different clans? So, for example, Benjamin was a Toreador, Tim and Bruya, or Moses Adventurer.
So D-Max?
D Maxwell 28.
So D Maxwell 28, yeah, that's an interesting question. Do you guys want to answer this first? Why do you think about this?
I mean, so the example was if Benjamin was a Toreador.
Yeah.
Or any other different.
Or any other
clan.
different- I mean,
We'll go with Toreador.
If he was a Toreador, I suspect he'd be really happy and everything would be gravy. I'd quite like to have seen if Benjamin had been embraced by, say, a gangrel. I think that would have been quite funny. For what it's worth,
Yeah.
I'd quite enjoyed that.
So would I.
Yeah, and then he'd probably be a lot less happy. But yeah, I think these things. I think the clans do have a powerful impact on the characters. And in some ways, in Benjamin's case, the Toreador is the one that I'd be least interested in him being embraced by, because I think there's the least amount of interesting conflict with him and the clan there. So I think
you
as a player,
Peter,
as a player,
no,
yeah.
Benjamin would be
like,
loving it.
yeah, I'm a Toreador, yay, it's the best. But I think me as a player, I'd much rather he be embraced by, I don't know, a Bruja or a Gangrel or something like that. I think that'd be hilarious.
It's funny that they say it. Yes. Well, for those of you who have seen the embraces and heard the embraces, Nosferatu would not have been the go-to choice of Moses. Actually, someone said it on the comments a couple of episodes ago when I was checking the chat. And yes, I think it was on the embrace. Yes, I was. Moses had been approached by Alice because he's an idealist. He's a visionary. That's why he is so good at fixing things, because he can think outside the box, figure out a solution, and find a goal and go to it. And he had been approached by the Bruya, and he already had a friend there, and was embraced by the Nosferatu instead. Like they beat him to it. But then this comment makes sort of also sense. Like Aventru, Moses was doing well off basically because he started scamming a lot of people on the internet on the early years of it, especially with the Y2K thing. But he has a little bit of he has that financial savvy, and even though he's not a very forceful and powerful personality as a kindred, he used to be very outgoing and very sociable before his embrace, before that changed the way he saw the world and saw himself. So I believe Moses would have been a good either visionary Bruya or some sort of sociable, maybe not the leader the sort of leader of the venture, but a very, very adequate fit to those clans. Meaning he would be a lot happier because he could dance without having to use his disciplines to hide his face.
So what about?
Well, for being a Bruya, that would be a very dangerous mix because Jim's not exactly the calm type. Bruya aren't exactly a calm clan, so do you really want a really pissed off guy?
Here's a question then. Jim as a Toreador.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, God. I actually
brilliant.
was thinking, how about someone who is a survivor after hearing these, and someone so tough and would have been embraced by a clan like the Malkavian. Or the Nosferatu, seeking that.
I think he'd do quite well with the Nosferatu.
A Nosferatu, like as an enforcer or something like
I
that.
think he'd do quite well.
What would be that mindset? Maybe even a Ventru that would just embrace you to have you as a bodyguard.
You could be a Malkavian with an obsession with fire.
Yeah.
Or Masquerade.
You wouldn't last long, but it'd be great.
An obsession with
Short-lived Malkavian, but a fun one.
putting other things in fire. I'll hold him in the
Just be that
fire.
one Toreador.
Oh my God, the Toreador that loves it.
Ah! Yeah, he wouldn't last long.
Maybe Tremere?
That's your backup character there.
Again, Tremere, you would have been like a bodyguard or something.
Yeah.
I have been looking at the rule book thinking, right, this character is a little volatile, so I'm expecting to maybe have to create a new character. So I've been looking through options.
Yeah. If you're,
I have other plans of things. One that's going. All right, that one might fit the.
I think it is a great question though.
question.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
very good
Thank
question
you.
because you got to
Thank you.
think into other possibilities and our characters would be maybe a better fit to another clan, but then again, it's like life. Like you don't choose your family. You have to learn to deal with the people that you live with. And that's it. You don't get to choose your clan. Very, very, very few vampires ever get to choose which clan they belong to, and it's that is the rarest of occurrences. So I think it's always interesting to put yourself in your shoes, in somebody else's shoes.
So, any other
Anything
queries?
Okay.
I'm still curious as to why we were asked the one with the comments. That's an interesting question.
I think we should probably be fairly swift on. Are we
Yes.
going to do all three still, or are we going to?
I think we can do it like swiftly.
I think we definitely do this one definitely because.
All right. So as some of you may or may not know, if you've seen the website, we went to Dragon's Meet a week or so ago. And for those of you who've not heard of Dragon's Meet is a role-playing and gaming convention. This one was at the Novotel West in Hammersmith in London, and it's essentially a place where people get together. There are like tons of halls full of things to spend your money on, like role-playing games and dice and apparel that is really cool.
Tabletop games, miniatures.
And there's also lots of games going on which you can get involved in and play, and podcasts and loads of cool stuff. And we're very slowly shouting out some of the people that we encountered there through the website every week, but we're also going to do some of that here as well. So we're going to do 3 quick ones right now. So I'm going to go
To the people of the Printers Guild who just printed this shirt for me there. They had the design, so I went for it. Thank you very much. They had amazing stuff, a lot of really clever and funny designs, and it was pretty nice to just go to a convention and go like, hey, I like it, and they go like, well, what size, what color? Let me print it for you right there and then. So thank you very much to you guys. You were awesome.
Cool. So Federico Sons has created a game called Nibiru. They have a Kickstarter going right now.
I want.
As I understand it, it's fully funded, but some of the stretch goals might still be reachable with your help. It's a sci-fi RPG with a strong kind of narrative storytelling drive to it. And the interesting thing is, when you're on this space station and you generate the character as you play. So your characters don't have any memories of who they were, and you have memory points. So let's say you're in a situation where someone's running at you and you reach and pick up some kind of bat-like object. You could say, my character is actually used to be a really great baseball player, and you can spend a memory point and get that skill, and you then add it to your sheet. So you're constantly developing your character as the situation comes up, but also, of course, you may run out of memory points. And to get more memory points, you get them by having what they call negative memories. So you might say, actually, my character was always terrible at baseball. And then they get negative modifiers to that thing. And there are loads of other really interesting kind of narrative-based things in the system that we don't have time to go into now. But if that sounds like your thing, check it out. Links are all on the website.
So the last one is another Kickstarter that's going right now, which is a new game called Crystal Hearts, which is by up to 4 players. They have a website, they have a webcomic that I've been very much enjoying reading. I believe they've got a new episode out, a new thing actually, which I need to read. But it's in the Savage World role-playing system, from what I believe, which in the world of Crystal Hearts, the players play sim agents, which are agents who go out hunting these crystals, which and each sim agent, their heart is replaced by one of these crystals, which gives them unique abilities. When they roll for it, however, it does have side effects. So, for example, a crystal that might allow you to telepathically read someone's mind might also make you distracted more easily on things, which can make the game interesting. And one of the things that it can do, which I'm finding out, is it is very possible to interchange them, which, from what I said, could potentially be possible to do in combat. Which I believe that would require some serious rolls. But if you had a player who's good at tracking, and then something's coming over, take one out, wham that one in, and suddenly you're a tank. Which, I think that would probably be for a very high powerful player. But that's an interesting concept to run.
Do they have a Kickstarter going as well?
You've backed them, right?
Kickstarter, Crystal Heart, up to 4 players. I've backed it. It's got less than 30 hours to go, so back it soon if you want it.
You have until tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Oh my god!
Fast, run, help!
After the stream.
Yeah, don't go now.
No.
Don't touch that browser.
Hey.
And that's us with
more on Dragon's Meat.
More Dragon's Meat next week.
Check on the website. There is a lot more information and a lovely picture of one of us wearing something cool.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to chat.
Thank you very much for your questions, guys. We do really appreciate having them. So if you do have any more, send them over social media or send them in the chat live if you are with us. So anyway, jumping straight back into the game. Moses, you are
looking for something to cut myself with.
Yes. And there are...
That sounds so wrong.
There is nothing that you can see in your immediate vicinity that you could use to cut yourself. At least nothing that's designed for that purpose. You could probably get something and just forcibly cut yourself.
Well, there
kind of
has to be a knife. There's a lot of dirty plates there.
Yeah, well, if you want to go up... No, there was one that you could see at the other end of the room. Okay. You're welcome to go up and get it if you want.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you climb up from your seat and begin making your way back.
Wait. I tell him. How is Jim supposed to provide you with the blood? Like, do you have like a little vial, little thingy that we can...
We will provide a means, Moses, once he has arrived. And they stop, and then they almost seem to turn and glance at something else, their eyes just shifting very, very slightly off you for the briefest of moments, and then flick back, and the smile grows. He's on his way.
Oh, he's coming.
Jim, the entranceway, as he's described it to you very quickly, it's the only entrance that has the light blacked out, and as you go through, you begin making your way down that long corridor, guided by the flickering lights that Moses has told you would be there, towards the elevator.
I got one hand in pocket.
Okay.
Yes.
Just in case. He's a little He's usually a little bit on edge. I don't know if you've noticed. He's a little bit skittish at times, a little bit nervous. It looks like he's about to snap at any point.
Have you forewarned him about our rule, Moses?
Do everything I tell you. Keep coming. Don't make a fuss. Yes, I have. I have also told him, you know, you have other patients here, right? I have told him to calm him that I have undergone this bloodletting. So he feels a little bit at ease. Okay? So I will tell him that it doesn't hurt. Does it hurt?
I don't know, Moses. Does it hurt?
I will tell him that it will.
Do you feel pain anymore, Moses?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Then it will hurt, Moses. We apologize, though it is necessary.
Okay. I will let
He is here. And as one, their eyes
I approach
snap
the door.
towards the door.
I walk towards the door. It's like, Jim, do not freak out. We are in their domain. We must follow their rules to the letter. Let me introduce you to the smiling man.
The door opens, and you can see this lit room with everybody sat up in their beds, as one all turned and staring at you with soft smiles on their faces, almost grandfatherly or grandmotherly, just watching you as you enter. But every single little twitch, every movement, every slight gesture is mirrored in everyone. And for everything you've ever seen, this is unnerving.
What the fuck?
This is Jim.
Welcome, Jim.
They call themselves...
Please shut the door.
Shut the door. The chair. And I walk him to the chair I was sitting in.
I'm not sitting in that chair.
They're just watching you.
No, that's my chair. I'm just taking you to this side of the thingy. So I have talked to them a little. They know we're kindred. They know we're vampires. They are not.
What are they? What?
Magicians.
We prefer mage.
Mage.
Or magi.
Definitely steps into someone like a
Magi.
colorist. That was just what?
Mage, like Mayans?
What?
Like,
They're no longer looking at you, they're all looking at him.
Eyes flicker to any potential windows that are around the area.
Oh, there's them. Well, you can see the curtains all drawn, but you're pretty damn certain you know where the windows are. And as one, every single one of their arms just lifts and points towards the chair. Please take a seat.
they have helped. The person you brought sadly died.
Damn it.
But they will take care of the body, and there will be no collateral damage, no breach of the Masquerade from the poacher.
Please take a seat, Jim.
Whereabouts is the seat?
At the very far end of the room. If you're looking down the aisle with the beds parallel to each other, leading down or looking towards the center of the room, it's right on the very end. Directly underneath where the TV
where
is.
I was sitting?
Yeah.
Yeah, we already walked that way, but I was sitting on
Yeah.
the chair. So
But they are still gesturing for him to take that seat.
Oh, okay. I stand up. It's like, oh, yeah. It's not like they can draw blood if we don't want to, but it's like the payment for fixing everything. Also, basic rules. They will not be going into our domain. We do not go into theirs. And if we go into theirs, we have to do everything we're told.
That should be normal decorum, really.
Yeah, but that usually is normal decorum between people of the same sort of situation.
Jim,
I do not do magic.
beneath your chair, you will find a scalpel.
It's not gonna hurt that much because it's a very sharp one, and I swear to you, this is not the one I used.
It's been sanitized, Jim.
I have not used it.
Although we have been led to believe that that would not matter.
Either way,
Beneath the chair, besides the scalpel, there is a beaker. We require a full sample.
Where is your sample then, Moses?
Little lady, and I point to the lady who, with the hand. Actually, I didn't have to do it myself. She offered me her hand. Didn't you, love? Oh, I forget that you were all connected.
I'd rather see your sample first before I provide mine.
Doubting me. You're doubting me in front of our neighbor. I take offense. Magic! You think I don't know?
Precisely. I don't fucking know.
Exactly.
Please do not swear.
Do you promise not to use this to harm him? Or his friends?
His blood will be used purely for study. It
That's
will only
why-
be used to harm him should he break our rule.
Oh, that's why they took mine. Sorry. What? You're gonna destroy me?
If we wish to destroy you, Moses, you'd already be dead.
Okay. Please, I don't wanna die.
Please, Jim, the beaker is under your chair.
You're already dead.
We require a full sample.
There's a beaker. You would not trust Moses.
By the way, can we have some blood bags after this? I'm a little peckish. And I
If you would
believe
like to
you-
enter into another arrangement with us, we would be happy to provide you with them. We consider this payment for disposing of the body and for the previous breaches of our territory.
Katya.
So the blood heat that Moses provided isn't enough for that?
No, because we also have the Katya incident when she took Will out and turned on the fire alarm.
We understand that ignorance is the excuse, but in order for us to progress from this point, we would require a gesture of goodwill. Your blood would suffice, provided it is a full sample.
Multiple mess ups. Multiple samples. I didn't want to give more than one myself.
There you go, like that. It's just going to
Yeah.
that point.
Okay.
Okay. Do a wits plus insight against manipulation plus subterfuge.
I can go rouse.
You're gonna rouse?
I can rouse.
You're insane.
You say everything.
Keep in mind that if you give the sample, it's a rouse worth of blood.
It's a rouse worth of blood.
That beaker is
we're
a
going
big
to the
beaker.
warrants tomorrow. What are you doing?
Waking up at hunger for tomorrow.
That's a well spent.
4 successes.
Against.
Against.
3.
I mean, Moses has been very honest with you thus far, and he hasn't done anything that's particularly geared to. I mean, this isn't the standard kind of kindred behaviour that you've come to expect from Moses. He's been honest with you thus far. Why would he stitch you up in this way? I mean, yeah, you can't see it, but then it's not like they're just going to be there shaking a beaker of blood at you.
I don't get hungry from the rousing, so.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I think I do.
Oh god.
I don't!
Yes!
Okay.
You will replenish. You allow me to feed and replenish the blood that I will lose. For this?
If we enter into another agreement,
That's what I just asked. So I
this
guess-
is merely to cement our current understanding as a gesture of goodwill.
just to make up for all mistakes.
You allow me for this one. I pick up the beaker.
They watch intently. In fact, there's a as everybody beyond the first one leans forward slightly and twists their body towards you to probably observe this.
I'm gonna examine the beaker. It is fairly
It
small.
is one of those thick beakers. You're looking at about a pint that you need to put in there.
Yay.
Arouse. Worth.
Yes.
Okay.
Arousal.
I'll pull out my own knife. I am not trusting my eyes. Pick it open.
I take the scalpel. You and your manners. I put it in my pocket.
You're stealing the scalpel?
Their eyes turn towards Moses.
Put it in underneath my chair. I'm not stealing the scalpel. It would have been like a nice stuff to have, you know. It's very precise.
The knife cuts easily, very easily through your flesh.
Because I wouldn't know because I keep it down shut.
And you force yourself to bleed. Make your check.
I turn
Hungry?
as to not make myself hungry. I go like,
Okay.
it's also
You
an
can hear
awful
the-
private moment.
Uncomfortably loud. As the blood just begins trickling in and then begins going quicker and quicker, and their eyes just flicker up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down between the cut and the bottom of the beaker, and it's like you're watching 10 people having a simultaneous fit in the eye with their eyes going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, so they just watch until the beaker is finally full and you lift your... And the moment that you lick it clean, their heads just twitch. Thank you, Jim.
See?
If you would please deposit the beaker, and they point in unison towards a tray, off towards your right and just beside the window.
Final thing, but this is more like a curiosity kind of thing. So you're magi.
Yes.
Magi. Does that also like include like afterlife stuff? Like
Do we have control over the dead?
Yeah.
Amongst other things, yes.
Okay. Please tell me if they are all alive.
Based upon what you have said to us, Moses, you have an agreement you wish to reach.
Yes.
Please detail for us the terms of this condition, of this agreement.
That is gonna be a little bit more complicated. You know what? Let's put a rain check on that, and I'll talk to my other friends because it'll involve our house, and it's not my call alone. Okay? But how do I get in touch with you whenever I need to contact you?
Our mutual acquaintance can put you back in contact with us, Moses.
Okay.
Once she is confirmed, you will be allowed back in within the bounds of the hospital. But until such a time as an agreement is met, we advise you not to enter these grounds again.
Is that just Moses or is that myself?
All of you.
No, we are until we reach an agreement with them.
Nice.
So that's why we need to figure out something so we can have a conversation and go like, okay, let's make a pact deal, whatever. Right now it's a truce.
Up until now, every visit you have given us has allowed us to study you a little further.
You wish to study us more.
Of course. Would you not?
To
But-
be fair, I'm curious about them. They can get rid of the ghost.
It is worth noting that curiosity only extends so far. If you wish to benefit from this arrangement, then an agreement needs to be reached. If you do not, then the territory that we occupy is off limits. Any further breaches of this arrangement, unofficial though it is, will be met with force. We trust that you understand our reasons.
We do.
Excellent. You may exit the hospital the same way that you came in. And we look forward to seeing the rest of your group as well. Please extend to them both our greetings and our warning.
We'll do. After we sort some stuff that we have pending, we'll try to figure out a time to have a conversation with you about an agreement.
We do ask that you provide one message towards our mutual acquaintance.
Yes.
9.
It'll be done.
Thank you.
I just...
Good morning to you both.
What time is it?
At this point, you're probably just past 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, thank God we live like 5 minutes walking. Let's get out of here.
As a lady go, creepy and uncomfortable.
Have you left the room?
I'll let him go.
Okay.
And just go to
They watch you both leave.
yeah.
One half of the room watches Moses. The other half watches you. Every movement you do until you leave the room, and the moment that you hear,
Close the door.
the moment the door clicks, you can hear through the door. All of them are still sat up, just staring at the window.
Like before I actually go. Creepy as this is with all of you, it's been interesting. Thank you. And then I walk out.
They still smile, they just watch you go. And the moment the door clicks shut and Moses kind of peers in through the window at them and then just starts waving, they're all just still sat up staring at the window, all of them with that smile on their face.
Come on.
Okay.
The moment that you step out of the window, you hear it.
I was curious. I wanted to see them disconnect, like being unplugged from the Matrix or something. I know Kung Fu. You know who's a good person to run this through as soon as possible?
Katya?
No, Benjamin. Of course, Katya. Come on, let's go. I'm so glad you came with me.
So you both...
It's not.
I'm still using my mask of 1,000 faces, and I ask him, like, "Do you wanna hunt? Do you need a hunt? I'm a little peckish."
I am in need of hunt, but I'll help you if you need one.
Well, I still look like this.
You're
so
probably looking at about 2:15 by the time you've left.
okay. I'm looking like this, 2:15. That's not great, right? For going to a pub or, well, actually club within our domain. Is the three-legged cat still open?
I probably know it's not. Yeah, I forget. There's always the guys in the streets.
That'll do. I don't want to go to Warren's tomorrow hungry. Let's go.
Yeah, neither do I.
Hey, not my fault. That dude's fault. Well, not his fault. Poacher's fault.
Poacher's fucking fault.
Focus your anger on her. I mean, let's go.
Oh, I intend to focus my fists and claws on her if she does that again.
We have to find him first.
Hello. That's what you're for.
Yeah, I join him in a hunt for street dwellers,
Okay.
which in my case includes animals.
Okay.
So I'm not just going for people. I'm going for
So
animals.
you're
as
working
well.
together, yeah? Who wants to
Yes,
be the
both of
primary actor in this sense? Who's leading the hunt?
Probably you.
Because this would be
Okay.
which streetwise for finding a person?
Depends what kind of individuals you're looking for. Anyone off the street or particular individuals?
I would be going for anyone who would be in a place that would be
Basically, anyone I can get off one. It's like one level of hunger. Just
Okay.
one.
Simple.
We'll say that if you're trying to figure out the best places and you're trying to grab them off the street, probably be strength plus streetwise. With a +1 because Moses is assisting.
I have streetwise
Yeah, so +1.
and strength barely. Barely have any strength.
The streets, such as they are, I mean, there's no longer a massive police presence like there was 5 months ago in the aftermath of everything that happened, but people have still got the memory fresh in their minds. People are a little bit more wary as they go around this area and any area in southeast London. So people are a bit more alert. People are moving around not on their own. as much anymore. You can see one or two people that you could potentially snatch, but is out in the open. There is a risk of being caught. So you can succeed if you wish, but it will be at a cost.
How badly do you need it?
And the cost will be that
not-
you would have to subdue more than one person, which means it's not going to be a clean hunt.
Clean hunt, Moses. You risk it?
No, the thing is that I'm a little hungry. Not too much. Giving them blood didn't help. And then tomorrow, if I don't want to feel really hungry tomorrow, but right now I'm not that bad. And in worst case scenario, I could help. I could feed tomorrow morning with the help of Foggy.
All right.
So I'm not that desperate, but it would have been nice to go, not with an empty stomach.
Well, there's always the rats. Disgusting as they fucking well are, they're still useful.
Yes, they are. Let's go to the closest place
This is London.
inside our domain.
Okay.
The area in which, in the residential part, most of the rubbish is put out for collection.
Okay.
But we're not going above ground, we're going underground.
Okay. Okay.
Let's
Before
see
we do
how
that-
many rats can we summon.
Before we do that, Benjamin,
Hello.
you have finished your piece. What have you started on the next one?
Well, the thing is, when I finish the piece and I'm happy with it, is there enough time left to deliver it to everyone?
Given how much that was left, you're probably looking at finishing it just before they came out with came out from their meeting with the Smiling Man.
So what I'm thinking is they would, because I know Edmund sometimes I wouldn't have time to go to the gallery. I'm assuming and back safely. No, so I'm not going to risk it. What will I do? I don't know. I'm feeling quite relaxed. It's all good. I might start dabbling because I do have ideas for my next one. I have 2 ideas, in fact. So I might be a bit of dabbling sketches with both to see which one excites me the most. So I have one which is sort of like a shot of, it's like a very distant shot of Moses kind of dancing, but it, like with his back, almost as if there's an imaginary partner on the other side, with the way he's holding his hands, but so you can't see them in the shot, kind of framed by these 2 giant hands, almost as if they're about to crush him, like a giant's like that.
Yeah. Okay.
And the other one is one of Agnes, and it's like she's emerging from a fire. So part of her face looks normal, but her hair is like it's fire, and the actual burn thing is as it is.
Okay. Which one do you want to start?
I don't know. I'm going to kind of dabble a few sketches and see where the wind takes me.
Okay. We'll say
You're having a Nosferatu-inspired night, my
Yes.
friend?
Just
dexterity plus.
dexterity, you say.
crafts.
Plus craft.
Is it crafts that you normally have?
Yeah, it
or-
is crafts painting,
crafts.
yeah.
Yep.
Just make it one general roll. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. The moment that you pick it back up, high on the success of your previous piece, your paintbrush just begins flickering over, and it's not so much that you have one particular image in mind, but you seem to be starting on one, and then all of a sudden the other one starts coming out, and rather than detracting from the initial piece, it seems to blend really, really well,
Cool.
and you're just flying high off your success and you're going through it, and then your phone, whilst it's not buzzing continuously from before, you hear it like twist, and then you stop and then you glance over towards it, and then when you look at the piece that you've been sketching at, what you see in front of you is nothing that you've just been painting. It is not anything that you recognize from this particular piece mixed with this one. It is something completely different. Instead, you can see Moses still there, still dancing, but the hands that are there are not the hands of Michael Chase. They are long, gnarled fingers, and they are twisted around him, and as you watch, they seem to almost tighten and grab and then just pull him down, and where his hands seem to grasp upon something invisible trying to hold himself in place, his fingertips leave trails of blood as he just itches towards the bottom of the piece. And as you're watching, your paintbrush is flashing across as you are marking all of this down. You are progressively drawing it as you're watching the scene unfold with no control over your hand, and then all of a sudden you stop and then look at this piece that what began as this beatific piece is now marred with just markings that have absolutely no sense, but that moments ago looked like hands that are reaching for him.
So, is it basically like a mess of a canvas now? Or is it actually there an image?
Yeah, no, it looks like a mess. But then as you kind of take a step away from it and you move over to put down your tools, you look back again and it's fine. It's fine.
Did you just foresee my death?
Something's here.
So just for clarity, what I saw as I was painting was that these gnarled hands grabbed.
Nightmarish gnarled hands that grabbed Moses and pulled him down off the page.
Oh, so he saw the scene.
He saw this as he was watching. It was like the scene was in motion, but then as he kind of pulled out from the scene, he watched himself painting this scene, and every time he did a brushstroke, it unfolded further and further, and then he looked away from it.
Painting animation.
Yes, and then he looked away from it, and when he came back to this image, it was completely messy, almost as though he had actively just been painting over everything he'd just done. And then when he looked away again, it was exactly as he left it before. He suddenly started seeing this thing happen.
Ooh. I'm going to be quite creeped out by that. And I'm also going to blame my phone. Why do I have this stupid phone? Ruins it. I'll pick it up. Was it buzzing for any particular reason?
It's just missed calls from Moses. Or messages, rather, from Moses.
Can I remember the hands were quite striking, weren't they?
Nightmarishly long fingers. It's almost like you're watching someone it's like if you've had a screen that you've manipulated to make fingers go from this to like this.
Did they have the same number?
Completely out of proportion.
Same number of joints? So just like stretched,
same number of digits.
Anything weird about the nails?
Only that they're massively discoloured and jagged.
Jagged, okay. And the skin colour was
very, very dark grey, blackish.
Dark grey, okay. Okay.
Almost like watching gnarled tree branches, but in fingers shaped.
Okay.
Crushing me.
Yeah. Save me. Don't worry, I'll totally take that thing down.
Don't tell me. Come on, I've had enough by giving my blood tonight.
I'm gonna probably not do much else apart from occasion. Well, I think in fact I'll cover the painting when it's dry enough, but I will check it a few times. But I'm assuming it's kind of pretty much.
It was a solid start. Now that you're not seeing this kind of animate scene upon it, it's two blended pictures. It's like the two that you had in mind.
Yeah, but in one piece.
In one, and it works in some strange way. It looks really, really good, but it's far from finished.
Okay, cool. I guess I'll settle in.
Okay. Doing nothing else for the rest of the night?
I don't think so.
Are you sure?
Oh, are you sure? Maybe. The only thing I guess I will do is prepare the stuff that I'm going to need for tomorrow. I've got to go and buy some stuff when the sun goes down. But I will also probably get some not so nice clothes ready because the Warren's going to prove it's stinky, I'm guessing. And things like I'll take some latest clothes. I'll take a few cans of spray paint.
Okay.
And that's about it, really.
Okay. In that case, you two.
Underground Animalism 2.
Okay.
I'll try to summon rats to feed upon. I tell you of my plan. You think it would be a nice idea just to come here, which is where most rats should be, and try to call as many of them as possible?
I can't fucking do that.
Well, I wanna. I kind of can.
That's useful.
Okay. You gonna summon them? Where are you gonna summon them? What kind of environment?
I'm underground in the sewers.
Yeah, but in open passages, inside passages, accessible passages. Where are we talking?
In the sewers, probably in the main passage.
Okay.
So they
Charisma
can
plus animalism.
come from nooks and crannies with plus animalism.
Yep. That is the role required to summon animals. And then a rouse check afterwards.
Ouch! Okay.
What do you need? You need me to catch him?
They're just gonna come and I'm just gonna ask them to stay still. So grab something to put in him.
Keep in mind that you can communicate, but you can't control.
Exactly.
Okay, so another roll will be necessary to suddenly, dive bomb these and get enough to.
It's basically that's what I told him. Like I'm gonna tell them to stay around, hold on while we jump on them and catch as many as we can. Okay. Probably set up something basic as a trap, like a big piece of cloth or rucksack or whatever that we can just get whatever inside. And let's see how bad this goes. 4 successes.
And you hear sloshing motions as
What's coming?
10, 20, 25 rats suddenly begin piling in. And then you hear
What is that?
it looks like it's coming from the rats.
Do I hear that?
No.
What do you mean, what is that? It's rats.
Come here, everyone. Come in.
They are all swarming around your feet. It is a strange mixture of really uncomfortable and slightly ticklish sensation as rat over rat over rat over rat moves over your feet and over yours, but they seem to be congregating around Moses.
You've got to do this when Ben's here. That'll be so funny.
Yes.
Now?
Okay. Now!
Right.
I have rapid reflexes, so hopefully that'll help.
I am basically like caressing a couple of them, and when I get to the tails, I go like, now!
Okay.
We're grabbing rats, what the freaking...
Strength plus brawl from both of you.
Oh, that's gonna be a pathetic roll from
This
me.
is going to be two-way. Because you are basically grabbing into a horde of rats at your feet.
Do I have any bonus because of the amount of... is it what? Strength plus?
Brawl.
Strength plus brawl.
Will I get any
Yeah,
additional
that's
bonuses
a-
to
Oh,
rapid
actually,
reflexes?
no, given that you're grabbing small, I'll say dex plus brawl.
Yeah, it doesn't change for me.
That doesn't change for me either. Do I get any additional benefits from my rapid reflexes?
What is it? Celerity?
Celerity, yeah.
Yeah.
You get a free minor action, I think.
From my feral whispers, that I can convince them to get closer.
Rapid reflexes is that you gain no penalty for cover, so there isn't really any cover when you're standing in amongst a sea of rats. So, say again.
Like from my animalism to go like, yay!
Not really, because you have no control over them.
Yeah.
They've been summoned to you, and they're
I get
2 successes.
okay. 2 and
willpower.
You guys. Killing me.
okay.
I have 1.
1.
1 success.
Okay. Moses, you take 1 superficial point of damage.
Okay.
That's already halved and rounded up. You take 1 point of superficial damage. That's already halved and rounded up. As the moment that you grab a handful of rats and lift them, bites go straight in through your boots, into your ankles, up your sides as they just begin suddenly thrashing and thriving. And the moment you pick them up,
And they start start throwing dead rats at the live rats that are biting me. And if I knock one unconscious, I grab that one as the next meal.
okay. What's your BPs?
Sorry?
Your blood potencies.
1.
Okay.
I will rouse to try and heal that point.
Keep in mind that they're not going to stay around forever.
Yep.
Yeah. That's why I'm.
How many successes did you roll? Okay, so you've got 1 more round to grab.
No, I'll rouse to try and heal.
Did not get hungrier. Important.
Yep. I got hungry. I'm with that. Crap. What the hell is going on?
Roll again, boys.
200 because Yep.
2 successes again.
Nope. I got 3 successes.
Okay. You take another point of superficial. You take another point of superficial as they continue to just bite and thrash upon you, but you manage to grab another handful and begin biting. You now have 1 blood point's worth to take you back down a hunger.
Each? Or is that
Yeah, just each.
Each.
Keep in mind it takes a lot of rats
Yeah, it takes like 10, 12
we'll
rats.
go back down to hunger 1.
Yep.
After that, and I'm back on 1.
This is not the
Right,
wisest
heal.
solution for hunting.
I heal one of the 2 superficial. I didn't write them down.
And I'm for both balance checks for healing, I am now fully healed.
Okay.
And
The moment that you have these other ones grabbed, the movement around your feet begins to lessen as they just begin scurrying off down the passages, going off in different directions. The angry hissing that you can hear is you can't discern what they're saying, but you can feel the intense dislike and hatred that is scurrying through these rats
Yeah,
as
it's
they
okay.
bolt.
Good thing is they have short lifespans, so next week when I do this, it's gonna be like their grandchildren, and I finish doing that.
Okay, your boots are fucked.
Yes, and I heal my superficial damage, all of it,
Okay.
and I am at hunger 1, and I feel like the master of rats.
They wouldn't agree, but okay.
that was fun. We have got to do this sometime with Ben.
Yeah, totally.
Ben free.
He lies.
Ben was free.
Oh yeah. Oh no. He hates them. He told me he hated them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh, that's mean.
Roll 4 dice, roll 5.
Oh God.
Yeah, hunger included.
Yeah, hunger
right?
included.
That is
2.
2 successes.
I got 2.
Only my hunger.
Okay.
Got successes.
Okay. What are you two doing now?
I'm gonna head back to the domain.
Head back to the main
Haven.
underground. Remain in the
At
sewers.
this point, you
go
are
back underground.
probably approaching 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but we're not going above ground at any point. I've messed up my boots, so I just put them in the bin of things that I need to throw. But since tomorrow I'm going to the Warrens, I think that bin's gonna be filled with other stuff, so I don't throw them there yet.
Okay. So you return back towards the Haven and open the door. Mrs. Morovsky's no longer in the front room. She's departed and gone to her bed. But the newspaper's still there. The knife's not on the counter anymore.
Go into actually I stop for a brief moment and I put on Carrion's Chad Sexy Pearls 9 enter and move on.
She immediately logs on. Logs off. Okay.
Here we go.
I have been doing nothing but solving problems tonight. I feel useful now.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you two doing? You can. What is Benjamin doing?
Going to bed.
Actually,
So you're just lying there, just.
Well, I'm assuming that I can feel that it's not too long now till.
At this point, you've still got maybe another 2 hours. or
Oh,
so.
okay.
It's about 3 o'clock in the morning, roughly. Even now, in summertime, you're still looking that you've got a couple of hours. You can hear the door opening and closing.
how are we going to?
I'll go
to this
downstairs.
Okay.
See who's there.
I assume I'm probably taking the car too.
Is it these guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're having a chat probably in my room.
I'll.
You've heard them enter, and then you've heard the second door as they've
Oh
gone
yeah,
down the
because we're in
street.
the lower.
Yeah. I'll go and knock on their door.
Who is this?
Oh, it's me.
Oh, she's not Katya. Open the door. Hey.
Oh, hello.
Where were you?
I've been in my room.
I called you. Well, I texted you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was very absorbed in my work. I didn't really hear. Well, I heard the phone at one point, but I blocked it out. I've been. Was everything all right? I thought you were here. Why didn't you just come and knock?
Because okay, so Jim was patrolling the domain,
Oh, right.
making sure nothing was, out of place.
Right. I thought we were having a quiet night in to prepare for tomorrow.
Yeah, but I mean, he was just doing surveillance.
Yeah, just-
not looking for trouble.
No.
Looking for trouble, and I found some.
Oh no. And
We have a poacher.
a poacher.
I turn on the TV. It's on the feed there. Chan chan chan. It's like that. It's not the big guy. It's the
What, the little girl?
the 13-year-old.
It's a bit grainy. I don't think I'd be able to recognise her if I saw her again.
No, and I've been trying to figure out if that's like a school uniform or like a
And
an
for a serious note on this, Ben, the guy didn't make it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he was the victim.
Yeah.
He was the victim.
Because you see, normally when you see that sort of picture, it will be the other way around, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, actually,
Oh,
that's
this
what
is-
he
First rule
thought.
of being kindred is never assume which one is the fucking kindred.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I was just thinking, you know, given the court that we've just been to recently, I wonder. Well, she's wearing a school uniform,
Yeah.
but I mean, it might be a school from many years ago. You know, there's no. If she's older than she looks, then she could be.
And I started looking for
I mean,
records of all schools that could have that dress code, that thing around.
I mean,
I
it's
just
a modern
expand my-
dress code.
Yeah, of course, but within the last 10 years. I don't know if something within the last 10 to 15 years have been closed and the school uniform is, of course, no longer available. So it'll take me a long time, but I put that on the parameters of my search for future reference.
oh, does this mean that we have to, you know, deal with?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Because
Jim
that's a-
tried to take him to the hospital.
The
guy's-
man.
yeah.
Oh well, that sounds like a good thing to do.
He still died.
Oh,
died before I could
I'm
get
sorry.
there.
And
At least you tried.
And I think the girl saw Jim, for what he tells me, saw Jim before she finished feeding because she didn't close the room.
No.
So
She didn't lick the wound, so maybe she's a new vampire. Maybe she doesn't know
or
what to do.
maybe she wanted to,
Cause us problems.
Oh, deliberately.
I doubt
Oh,
it.
that's awful.
Well,
What?
I think
no,
it's more-
no. I could see that. You see, because you could do that. You could deliberately leave a body in someone else's territory, and then if there was a breach and the prince found out, they'd send the constable, and they would just they drag you to court, and they rip your head off in front of everyone. That's what they do. It's a very clever strategy.
or she was feeding,
Yes.
saw Jim,
Yes.
and thought, hey, not worth getting my butt kicked by the owner of the domain. Let me run. I have no time to finish feeding and closing the wound.
I suppose that's also
It takes
possible.
half a fucking second to lick the bloody wound close.
Whatever happened.
All right,
He tried
so
to save
She's
him,
also definitely not new. 'cause
Didn't happen.
She's avoided the cameras on the way out.
so she knows her way. She's
She-
probably done it before.
Yeah.
Oh, that is bad. Well, we should. Well, now that we know what she looks like, roughly. I mean, well, yes, but there aren't going to be many girls of that age walking around late at night in our domain, are there?
No.
I hope not.
Well, I know that people grow up fast these days, but still, I mean, come on.
So, problem is the body was like he took him there unconscious, hoping he would survive.
With the
The guy.
Yeah.
but that's a masquerade breach, Jim.
He was still alive when he found him.
But that's
he could have been.
yes, but I don't think Prince Emrys cares. I mean, I don't think he's going to say, oh, he was alive. Oh, well, fine.
So
he's
you
not
would
going
have
to
let
say
him
that.
die. That's what you're saying.
No, of course I wouldn't let him die.
Exactly, and
But
What would you have done then?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Well,
I'm
he
just
thought of
saying.
taking him to the hospital, and that's what he did.
All right, so you took him to the hospital, and now we've got a masquerade breach in our.
No.
Oh, because it's not our domain. Oh, that's fine.
No.
Oh, the hospital's not our domain. Oh, that's fine. That's like someone else's domain, isn't it?
No, it'd still be a breach of the masquerade, and it happened in our domain, and Jim was the one who delivered the body.
So it will be Jim's fault. But then it's going to be all of our faults because that's how this works. So
Exactly.
now we're all dead.
No,
You're
because
already dead, Ben.
You know what I mean.
I owe a new boon to a clansmate.
Oh.
And we are currently
So-
not allowed in the hospital.
I thought we were having a quiet night in.
That's what I was hoping for.
I mean,
It's not our fault. It's a poacher.
no, of course, and we will have to. I mean, if we weren't having to go off to the Warrens to deal with your boon, then I suppose we could prioritise this.
So now that
poacher.
you understand the mechanic of boons, I had to give a minor boon to a clansmate.
right,
So an introduction could be arranged between myself and the domain domitor, however you
Yeah.
want to call it, of the hospital.
yes. Oh, well, that sounds
The smiling
useful.
man. Yeah,
Yes.
it's very useful. Until
And then
you
how
figure out,
was he? Have you not met yet?
Yeah,
That was fucking
we already
creepy.
met him. It's super creepy because it's not
Oh.
a person. It's a group of wizards, magicians.
Sorry, what?
They exist.
A group of wizards.
Yeah. You
Oh,
laugh, but they took my blood and Jim's.
I'm sure that I wish I haven't
Also-
cleaned yet.
Well, you should clean that. Ah, why? I have cleaning things that we can use. It's much more likely that's not going to fool a forensics test, is it? It's like you've licked it.
So
It's not going to sterilise it. It's not going to remove.
But it's still funny with your
unlike
face.
the scalpel he was offered, offered one that was
I am
sterilized.
not touching any of that.
Oh, all right, fine. So
I'd rather my own blade, thank you very
You've
much.
met this group of creepy wizards,
Yeah.
and you've given them your blood. Is that a good idea?
No, it isn't. But
all right.
we owed them
So
because of the many incidents we've caused them. For example, tonight, now they're getting rid of the body. They're literally covering for us.
Oh, well, that's worth it.
And
I
there
think
is
that's worth it because, better to give a little blood than be actually all of your blood and destroyed by the prince.
And then
that's
it's
good.
About
Katya.
a pint.
Well, yes, but a pint in the grand scheme is pretty good considering that will be all of us dead otherwise. So I think it was that was a good call.
Yeah,
Well
He
done.
still
Already
want,
fucking dead.
by the way, he said that, they said that they wanted to meet you as well.
I don't know if I want to meet them. You said they're creepy.
I think
I think
need
if we ever want to be able to go in there again, we will need to.
Do we want to go in there again?
Well, let's face it, it'll increase the size of our domain
what do you mean? I mean,
twice as big. Because they don't hunt there. They're wizards. They are not vampires. They're not drinking blood.
they don't mind if we were to hunt?
They
there?
do, but they might not if we sort of go into a deal.
Are you saying if I met them because
And
and Katya met them, they'd say, "Fine, you can."
No, we would try to get an agreement.
Yeah, but at the moment, do not go in there. It is.
Oh no,
highly
I'm not going anywhere near there. You said it's
right now.
As
It's
in, I
absolutely
ain't going
off
anywhere
limits.
close.
Now, just so we're
It's
clear,
off limits.
what sort of? I mean, how dangerous are a group of creepy wizards?
That's why I wanted to talk to Katya.
Yep, I don't have a clue. They have a pint
Come
of
on.
each of our blood, and
You have heard the rumors about the trimmer, right?
Yep.
Warlocks. Woo.
Yeah.
I'm assuming I haven't. St.
Magic. They do
Not
blood
really.
magic stuff.
No.
where you
Well, I have no idea what they do, but
You
people
lived a
say
sheltered
that's-
life.
Yeah,
What?
It's like blood sorcery.
you remember-
What's blood sorcery?
You remember how
Magic.
you would track that? You Catty was using something to track.
Oh
press?
yes, I do remember. That was very strange.
Yeah, think that maybe bigger scale.
So they can do strange tracking people,
they-
and now they have your blood.
I have no idea what they do.
Well,
So they could probably track the two of you wherever you went now.
potentially.
Oh shit!
In
I am
addition
really
to-
distraught
In addition to
that
that,
he could be tracked, but I pretend it's just me as well.
In addition to that, the Tremere certainly have history with not doing some good stuff with blood. With kindred from certainly our clans.
Well, I mean, I would have generally thought that blood sorcery is a bad thing. I mean, isn't it? Is that sort of goes
Come
with the
on! Like the
territory?
powers of your blood are all blood sorcery. I mean,
So
come
we're
on,
all
I
blood
changed my
sorcerers.
face and
Like
stuff.
claws,
Yeah, but
the way you move silently.
if every single clan calls them warlocks and things like that, then they do the nasty stuff, blood sorcery wise.
the boogie.
Yeah, that one.
All right, fine. So what you're saying is Katya will know what the creepy wizards in the hospital might be capable of, or no more than you two.
She'll definitely know.
So
more than
why
the three of us.
have you when you going to ask?
We
her?
just got here.
Oh, okay. So
We were
A, just
feeling.
got here, and B, Will. I didn't know she. I thought she was.
Oh
dead.
yes, no, I didn't either. What was going on there?
I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
Did you know, Moses?
Was she?
What?
So what's happening
Why
there?
didn't you tell us?
No, so was it a good or a bad thing? I wasn't really sure. I mean,
Well, the alarm went off the night that Katya mentioned. The alarm on the hospital.
Yeah.
Fire alarm. You think I wouldn't look into that? Any sort of activity with the police or ambulances or whatever got me into a rabbit hole.
so
I was
Will
not
is,
expecting
so-
her to be Oliver's
So
child.
is Will?
But you knew she was a vampire.
Well, conversations with Katya over 5 months. Eventually,
So
even when Mrs. Minovsky's asking for Will, come on, she used to spend the night here.
is this a good thing or a bad thing? Because I mean they're friends. Are they assumably they're still friends?
Did you see how it was following Oliver like a puppy? Like Foggy tends to with
I suppose. But I thought that would just be. I mean, she's a new. Isn't that what you do with your sire? You follow them, and they look after you, and there's a sort of.
Certainly not mine.
Oh.
Not mine initially. No.
Oh.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
got
very.
turned. Then she left.
Oh, abandoned.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what
that's
happens.
awful.
That's what happens with gangrel.
Yeah.
Does it? Oh, I'm so sorry, Jim.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I can't imagine how awful that must be. Were you abandoned as well, or is it different with? Oh, good.
But it's not the best love relationship ever.
Oh, how awful! I know. I mean, because I think this is bad enough, hard enough as it is. I mean, even with someone helping you, but let alone if you were just abandoned or not treated. That's awful.
Well, especially after you've held your own guts in your hand.
And I can't remember exactly why now, but I'm sure Katia once said something that made me think that maybe she's not that fond of Oliver. That was the sense that I had, but I can't remember what she said. But so.
How about him going out to buy stuff to treat the burns on Will?
So surely Will can't like Oliver, given their history. So, presumably, Will and Katia
Does
will
it matter?
still be yes? No? Yes?
Imagine you had the worst fallout with Edmund.
Do I have to?
I mean, how many times have you seen Katya get in touch with Oliver?
Well, never.
Exactly. Mine is not living in this country. His is missing. Yours is available.
Yes, oh yes. I was going to call him actually, it's just a little late. But tomorrow.
And
maybe.
you have been with him, and we have been exposed to that sort of closeness. Katya's sire is also available in the city. They never get together. She spends a lot more time with
Us? Well, it's true.
from the clan Tremere. Come on, you can do it.
Well, there was that lady she introduced us to, Sabine Wick.
Yes, and she's also
She seemed nice, very friendly, I thought. Yes.
Yeah, don't trust her.
she is
Don't trust. No, okay, all right, don't trust. But Katia's Tremere.
yeah. I'm not gonna go that far into not trust Tremere. I'm just gonna say Katya trusts Sabine.
Right, but don't trust
and
Sabine.
Sabine was the one who helped us out on the
Right. So
on the court. She's
so
the one who told her when to leave to avoid any problem. So she's cool.
All right. So she helped us out.
So
Katia
she
trusts her, but we don't trust her, or we do trust her. What?
I don't know her. I don't know if I trust her.
All right. So I'm not going to
trust
trust her
her.
yet. So have we got everything ready for this Warren's business?
Oh, well, I get the tools with you.
Well, I mean, obviously I'll get them first thing,
Yeah,
but everything else we.
Flashlights.
Yeah. So Jim gave me a list actually.
Yeah.
We need flashlights.
He said that. Yes.
Batteries for the flashlights.
He said that. Yes.
Crowbars, a couple multi-tools, and
Multi-tools apparently.
I don't know what it is, but
Maybe a
couple of
pickaxe.
spades. That's a good one. That's
So
what I think.
Agnes mentioned that a lot of the entrances had been collapsed. But there
Exactly.
must have been one that she
Well,
was
we're
able
gonna
to
need
get
some
out
pickaxe.
of. But there was one she must have been able to get out of. So there must be a hole somewhere that we could at least widen or get in through.
Yeah, that's why a pickaxe is gonna. So I think
And
we
we
can need to widen the hole as well because
B and Q
I want to.
early tomorrow.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. We go straight away and
I don't want to
buy the things and then go.
I don't want to be in a trap, so I want to make sure we have a few ways out.
All right. So
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's
anything else that we should we need or?
walkie-talkies.
Ooh.
We're gonna be under
Will they work?
walkie-talkies. Yeah, because we're gonna be in short range, and if we at some point like get separated, which would be really stupid to do. But get separated. Let's say we're on a part of the things, and something collapses in the middle. Unless it's like 3 feet of lead, we will be able to communicate from two sides of a collapsed tunnel.
Do you know where we'll sell walkie-talkies at that time of the evening? Because we've got to get them tomorrow, unless you have them already. Do you have walkie-talkies already? I don't.
Do I
you see.
look like I carry walkie-talkies?
No.
No. All right. Well, I don't know then. If they're in the shop, I'll pick them up. But I don't know if the same shop that sells other things that I'm buying on this list is going to sell walkie-talkies. But I'll see.
Oh, well, like a camping sort of place. Things for
Right. Well, I'll see what I can find, but I can't promise anything. It's all a bit rushed, isn't it?
AV clubs?
And most places will be closing when we get up. I'll see what I can do. And how are we getting there? Are we going some clever underground route, or are we going
crazy all the way to Reading? Well,
I don't.
halfway
We're
to
gonna have to
Reading.
drive.
So.
I'm taking my motorcycle. You're taking your car.
Okay, fine.
This is all after planning a car.
I mean, it's how many? 5 of us. So
Yes.
And we'll,
I'm leaving Foggy behind. I don't think he's gonna like being in the Warrens.
Do you still have Will's old car?
Yeah.
Wouldn't if we find someone that we want to bring back, do we really want to shove in the boot of the car? Or
Sorry, small question.
Yeah, we're gonna have 2 cars.
Don't you think you should return Will's car to Will, given that Will is, well,
Not using it?
well, technically our friend and also another kindred.
It's okay. I'll
I'm
fill
just
the
thinking.
tank when I give it back.
I'm just thinking that she might be a little bit offended if we're just running around with her car. That's all.
But I don't have many options after I crashed mine.
yeah, I remember that.
Don't bring it
That
up.
hurt.
Don't bring it up.
Well, well, this has been a wonderful chat, but it seems like we
You
shouldn't
will be driving Katya
All right.
on your car.
So I'll drive Katya.
He will be driving Agnes
So you're going to drive Agnes.
in my car
So we're taking
Will's
several
car.
cars and your motorcycle.
and my motorcycle. Yeah.
Right.
Because we don't know whatever we find. It's better to have it's better to have more than one getaway.
Yep.
B it's space. It's enough room and space so we can put whatever we find if we find something.
All right.
Or whomever. Because if we find any kindred that are still alive in torpor or whatever,
Yeah,
one car is not gonna make it.
So, hypothetically speaking, now that you've told me that there are also werewolves and there are also wizards, are there any creatures which have very elongated fingers? The sort of stretched
do I know?
fingers.
The dead bride
With
like, she's a
almost
ghost.
Intelligence plus a cult.
Intelligence plus a cult.
I
get 3 dice.
with
I won't even bother.
with sort of almost twig-like, almost branch-like, something unnatural and but yes, distorted, long.
I'm probably gonna tell you like half of the how do you call it, like boogeyman stories that I've heard.
Oh no,
Everything's
that's
gonna
fine.
be
No,
surrounding
that's fine because
spirits and ghosts.
Yeah, no, as long as there wasn't something specific, that's fine.
Nah.
No, fine, good, right.
Why are you even asking?
Just hypothetically, just because sometimes you come across things and you think, oh, well, of course, that's just nonsense from a film, and I'm not going to think about it. And then other times you tell me actually they really exist. So I just thought I'd mention it. Elongated, sort of.
It's still
pale.
quite specific.
Yeah.
Where did you see this from?
Oh,
Actually, I would have the same question.
Well, I'm trying to remember. So much has happened lately. I tell you what, I could sketch it, and then you could tell me.
Did you see it? Yes, do it. Did you see it during court, when we met the other Nosferatu?
No, it wasn't during court. I'll sketch. I'll sketch a quick approximation of these hands.
And now
It's easy enough for you to just sketch it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll give it a shot, but it's gonna be like I'm gonna forget about it kind of thing.
You're not gonna rouse for me, man.
No. The monster
Success.
says just love
he's
finger.
describing maybe like half the Nosferatu you've met.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm asking. Like, was it something that you saw when we
I mean,
met the
long
rest of my
fingers. I mean, for example, your sire had very long fingers.
I have like very long limbs and stuff, but very, very scrawny looking and
Yeah,
everything.
but
so
the description he's given with regards to the fingers, I mean, those are the first ones that leap to your mind. But then, you've met other kindred with really, really long ones.
Yeah.
You've most of them Nosferatu. I mean, there's.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll see if I'll pop up. I'll be right back, and I'll pop up to my room with some of my paints, and I'll see if I can make a colour match for the skin colour.
Okay.
And then I'll come back down. Okay, if I can.
Okay.
I'll be writing the list of things that we need to take, like rope.
Okay. If you are looking for a colour match, that is probably the closest one.
Okay, like it's very dark.
Super dark.
Near black.
Near black. Okay.
For
So I'll say, oh, and this sort of colour. No? Fine. All right.
No.
Good. Marvellous.
Maybe a question to ask maybe Carrion.
Yes, it does seem that she's the one to ask these sort of questions to.
The boogie
We'll have time in the car. I'll chat to her then.
are you having nightmares about these fingers?
I do you know, I don't think I've had any dreams since this has all happened.
Okay. When you say all of this is
Since I joined you in this sort of life.
since you moved here?
No. I mean, since I was changed.
Since you
I get
were
it.
murdered?
It wasn't like that. It
Well,
was.
You
It was.
did die, and someone
I-
was responsible for
Yeah.
it.
Well,
Oh,
yes.
I mean,
But no,
the
but that's
law
not.
is very specific.
But that's not-
and He could go to jail for
I
that.
am not rising to this bait, Moses. Not on that matter.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much as not ready as we will be. We have a list
Yes.
that needs to be procured tomorrow during the day of items that can be found in a B&Q. or
Yes,
whatever.
and I think I really think we should go tomorrow. I don't think we should.
No, we're not delaying it.
No.
We should for
Although
some
if
of
we
the-
did delay it, I could see Edmund. Because
For
I've had
some
a
of the
very,
things-
very productive evening.
For some of the things, we will need someone to help us out, buying them for us during the day. So, for example, buying a pickaxe is something that is most likely gonna, or two, is gonna be something that needs to be done in a hardware store, and those close before sundown. Now that it's the summer.
All right, I've got an idea.
Okay.
Because I don't. If you're saying there won't be time to buy them when we wake, that's what you're saying, isn't it?
Sort of, yeah.
What if? Because I think Edmund can help me here, and I've just finished a painting for him, so I could ask him if he wouldn't mind getting one of his assistants, because he has lots of staff, to pick up these things, and then I could maybe drop off the painting at the
On
gallery
the
on the
way.
way and pick up the things.
Let's tell you what. If you manage to get them to buy the stuff, then of course we will have to detour to pick up the stuff, and you can drop your.
Well,
painting.
it'll be as fast as
I'll
me
even help you.
going off to the shop. I mean,
Yes.
you know exactly.
100%.
So- all right,
I'm
all right,
100% with you.
All right, I'll do that now. I'll go to the phone, and I will try and phone Edmund.
Hello?
Oh, hello. It's Benjamin Green here. I was wondering if Edmund was there.
Benjamin.
Oh, hello. I have a little bit of good news, and also I was wondering if.
Say again.
Sorry. I was just saying I have a little bit of good news, and also I was wondering if there was something you might be able to help me with. It's only a minor thing.
Yes, of course. 2 seconds, Benjamin. Benjamin?
Hello.
Yes, what can I help you with?
Oh, there's some things that I need to pick up, but they're things that need to be picked up during the day, and I was wondering if you knew someone they're just simple items, but if you were someone that could pick them up for me.
Yes, of course.
Oh, thank you. And
If you're willing to send me a message, I can get one of the staff members to go.
that would be so wonderful. And then I was thinking that when I came to pick them up, I could drop off my latest painting, which I've just finished.
You finished another piece.
Yes. It's all ready, and I thought you could have it, and to get things moving. And I started another one, and I think you're really going to like it. But it's very early days yet.
Tell me more about this piece.
The new one.
The one you finished.
Oh, the one. Oh, all right. So you're sure you don't just want to see it?
Hang on. You can hear it as he covers the end of the phone.
You called him during dinner, dude. You interrupted him while he was cooking.
Nom nom nom.
That was the competition.
Benjamin,
Hello.
go on.
I was just. You don't just want to see it. You want me to tell you about it.
Yes.
Well, it's a crowd scene, but a little different to the ones that I've done before, and it's a night, and it's raining, but there's light from the street light that picks out one particular figure that makes them stand out from all the others. And it draws the eye in a dramatic way, and there's also there's another figure, but they're not so immediately noticeable. But once you notice them, you can't help but notice them. It's come out rather well, I think.
Can you bring this piece to me now?
Now, I'll check the time. Do I think I can get to the gallery now?
No.
I'll say not before the sun comes up. But I can bring it first thing tomorrow night.
First thing.
Oh yes, of course. I'll send you the message with the items.
Come straight here, Benjamin.
I will. I promise. I'll come straight away.
Excellent.
I hope you'll like it.
I'll begin clearing a space on my wall. I just got to pick which one to get rid of.
Oh, is there lots more stock in now?
Well, I'll make room. Don't worry, you Benjamin. You just bring it in.
Of
First
course.
thing tomorrow night.
First thing. Yeah. Oh yes, first thing. But bye then.
Dude, you interrupted his dinner.
I mean,
How many do you reckon? Was that 2, 3?
I just did not like when I heard the second one. I said that's better not count for my mental sanity. Oh my god, Edward!
You know how I blanked out a lot of the other sounds when I was focused on the painting? I was really trying to do the same and just focus on his voice, you know?
I mean, it's quite easy. I mean, he is a wonderful man.
I thought it would help. So I will send him a message with the list of stuff they wanted us to get.
Okay.
And
So you've texted it over?
yeah.
Okay.
And then it'll take a while. One finger to do things.
Okay, can you...
It's taken, what, 4 presses?
His full press is a letter.
Okay. I'll need you to send me that list later on.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Actually. Yeah.
So, is there anything else you want to do? Is there anything else you want to do in the immediate now?
No.
I will spend the rest of whatever wakefulness time I have with Foggy and going over the footage, just making sure. But now I try to figure out what sort of footage do I have pointing in the direction of the hospital or the entries.
To the hospital?
Not the entry to the hospital, the streets that get me there. Because
Quite a
now
few.
It's okay.
It's
cool.
quite a few. I mean...
I give them point of pride, place of honor, whatever you want to call it. I'm decidedly freaked out. I mean, I am as scared as I assume he is because he gave blood.
Okay.
I feel that way, maybe even worse, because it's my name, the one that's been using to connect, and this said magi or whatever. And Moses is from a culture in which that means, Santeria, witchcraft, and it's different, So for him, those are not any wizards or mages, those are brujos, proper witches.
Okay. Well, what you intend to do, each of you, we will pick up next episode. But we have now come to the end of episode 12.